Van Dumoulin as the Devils win it by the final score of 5-4 tonight at TD Garden.
Well, they can't hurt me anymore. Bruins season done. Over. Feels weird. Strange. It's not supposed to be like this. You get conditioned. I mean, especially in this job, you get conditioned, right? Well, it's mid-April. It's time for the playoffs to start. Even if you don't think the Bruins are going anywhere, they're still there. And they're not. And that's where we're at. And it stings. I mean, that thing, it stung a little bit last night. You're like, yeah, there is a bit of relief as a fan. It's like, thank God this thing is over. Because I don't know if I can watch this team anymore. But they're not in it. I don't like it. I don't like it. And Charlie Jacobs doesn't like it either. That's where we start tonight. On the Joe Show, no Joe Murray. Skaz, am I correct in assuming that Joe has begun his travels out to WrestleMania? Is that right?
I believe his flight was right around this time, so yeah, he may be airborne as we speak.
It is WrestleMania. It's not WrestleMania. It's not Royal Rumble. I should know. I mean, Stu was just talking about it. Carabas is here. I mean, Carabas and I just, talked about baseball. Wrestling did not come up, but I know he's one of those. He's a fan. If you can tell, I am not. Nothing against it. Just, it's not for me. I wish I were talking about the Bruins heading into the playoffs tonight, but I'm not. I am not. We will get to the Celtics, who actually are heading into the playoffs and have as good a chance as anybody to win the championship. A better chance than anybody to win the championship. We'll get to them. We'll get to the Red Sox a little bit later on here in the program. Unbelievable. These sickos didn't have Nesson on in the control room. Got to get this game ready to go. Watch it. Be locked in, distracted, not paying attention to this program tonight because I'm obsessed with what the Red Sox are doing right now. It's kind of a good feeling. I have some belief. Even with this past week, I have some belief. We'll get to all of that and some very interesting comments made about the future of Tristan Casas. That's coming up later in the program. And most importantly, tonight, 8 o'clock. You ready for this, Barth? Alex Barth, 98.5thesportshub.com, coming in, doing a full hour on the program. Nothing but draft talk. We will break it all down. We have your questions ready to go for Alex Barth. Full-blown hour of draft talk. It's everything I possibly could have ever wanted. Spending an hour on the NFL draft. But I'm doing it. I'm doing it for the people. I'm doing it for you, Skaz. Because I'm sure you're very excited about more and more draft talk, which we've been discussing since January. About how this draft sucks and who knows what the Patriots are going to do it for. We will break it down like you wouldn't believe. With Barth Vader himself, the draft lord. Nobody knows the draft better than Alex Barth. We'll get to that and you. 617-779-0985. But I want to start with Charlie Jacobs and his comments, not only to the fans today via his statement, but more importantly, his conversation with Jim McBride of the Boston Globe, because Charlie Jacobs has spoken. He has spoken, I tell you. And there are a number of things that I thought Charlie got right, and I don't think necessarily been focused on today. I will get to them. I want to get to them, I promise you. But we do get the negatives out of the way first. A, because it's sports talk radio. B, because then I want to focus on the positives later on. Tell me the bad news first, and then give me the good stuff after that so I have a chance to really take that one with me. The bad stuff first. The continued defense of Cam Neely and Don Sweeney. Because that was my takeaway from this. They are continuing to defend Cam Neely and Don Sweeney. And to me, it comes across as a real miscalculation on those two figures, and perhaps more importantly, just how far this team is away from really contending. As you read this story today, it's just obvious to me, and I think it's probably obvious to you, just how much respect Charlie Jacobs has for Cam Neely and Don Sweeney. Which in some ways speaks to the stability of the Bruins organization, which has been one of their hallmarks. And, that's usually a good thing, when it comes to business. You keep people around, not much turnover. You build trust. You trust the people below you. Like, that is generally the hallmark of a good organization and a good business. Except sometimes it goes too far. And I think it's hurting the Bruins here. And I think it's hurt them for a number of years now. They were finally willing to shake up the core of this team this year and move on from people who have been here for a long time, and rightfully so, by the way. And I know that was hard for a lot of Bruins fans. Trading Brad Marchand, trading Brandon Carlo, trading Charlie Coyle, trading guys away that you've grown attached to, especially Marchand, for what you didn't feel like was, a worthy return for Marchand. I had no problems with it because the team needed to quit that thing. It needed to quit that era. It needed to move on from the people who have been here and, in fairness, have been really successful here. I think the team did the right thing. But they are not willing to extend that to the front office. And I think that's a mistake. Reading from McBride in the Globe today, Jacobs has been unwavering in his support of Neely, the franchise Hall of Fame player turned president, and for general manager John Sweeney. He said he absolutely takes it very personally when he hears criticism of the Bruins front office. While understanding the criticism of some of the fan base and media, Jacobs pointed to the success of the last decade, including a Stanley Cup final appearance and a record-setting regular season of 2022 and 2023, when he said, quote, "It's hard for me to wrap my head around why people call for Neely and Sweeney's heads." Unquote. Charlie, you just had the worst season your franchise has had in the last 20 years. You don't understand why people are calling for the general manager's head after you fired the head coach? And he had comments about Jim Montgomery that we'll get to in this as well. All the blame going to Jim Montgomery for this season. Like, how can you not understand this? A, it's Boston. It's the way it is. We call for the GM to be fired all the time. We called for the president to be fired all the time. People have been calling for Don Sweeney's head for years, for Cam Neely's head for years, because you haven't won a Stanley Cup in 12 years. 14 years. Did the math wrong. 14 years. Decade and a half. You haven't won. Like, you don't know why people want them to be fired, especially coming off of this season? I mean, come on, man. Yes, some of the criticism probably goes too far. Like, people act like Don Sweeney sucks. He doesn't suck. He's had some good moments. He built a team that went to a cup, all that, blah, blah, blah. Most GMs have good moments at times, especially if you let them stick on the job for 10 years. And the Bruins under Don Sweeney have been competitive, very competitive. All true. The same can be said for Cam Neely, very competitive during his entire tenure. But that does not mean you should have a job for life. And that does not mean that you're the right person for the job now just because you've done a good job in the past. You want to say that Don Sweeney's done a good job in the past? Yeah, Don Sweeney did do a good job building a team that went to a cup, building a team that set the regular season points record, going all in. Yeah, that was not Don Sweeney's fault. It wasn't. It was also 3 years ago. That's in the past. And I think that's the point the Bruins are missing. The argument should not be, hey, look at what Don Sweeney's done. 3 years ago, we had the best record in the history of hockey. That was a Don Sweeney-built team. That was all his team. Oh, we went to the Cup in 2019. See what Don Sweeney has done in the past? If you're making the argument of what you've done in the past, you're ignoring what the argument should be, which is, we'll do this in the future. Don Sweeney has the skills and the tools to rebuild this team. That should be the argument they're making, and they're not making that argument. In my opinion, because they can't. Because Don Sweeney doesn't have the skills, doesn't have the tools to rebuild this team, because it starts with the draft. The Bruins cannot make that argument. It starts with the draft, not with his drafting history. You can't do it. You can't say that. Tell me what you're going to do. Don't tell me what you've done. And Charlie Jacobs' argument for keeping Don Sweeney is, well, look at what he's done. No, tell me what he's going to do. So I think they're way off the mark on that. They're ignoring that. Very simple question. Do you trust Don Sweeney to draft and develop and improve this team? 617-779-0985. I say no. I know you say no. I've taken Bruins calls for 12 years here on the station. I know how you feel about it. But, Charlie, And the Jacobs family, they feel that, no, he does deserve that opportunity. But they're making the argument on what he's done in the past at the NHL level, not at the drafting and development level, not with the draft. You can't make that argument. He's way off there, missing the mark. And the second thing that Charlie Jacobs is missing the mark on is the state of the team. Again, reading from McBride in the Globe today. Jacobs said everyone is on the same page about the approach to the future and defended Sweeney's characterization of a retool rather than a rebuild. He pointed to the roster core of David Pastrnak, quote, one of the best wingers in all of hockey, Charlie McAvoy and Hampus Lindholm, quote, a pair of defensemen a lot of teams would really covet, and Jeremy Swayman, quote, a promising young goalie, may not have had a great year this year, and I hope better days are ahead for him, who we just signed long-term, unquote. Jacobs pointed to all of those factors as the reasons. Again, for the retool rather than the rebuild. Continuing to read from McBride. This is Jacobs saying to him, quote, when I think of a rebuild, I think of somebody sort of hitting the proverbial Looney Tunes TNT plunger. Let's blow this thing up and start over. I don't think we're there, said Jacobs. I think we're in a place where we need to build and use Don terms specifically to retool to make this a more competitive team for the next year and years to come. It's either really disingenuous or a sign that maybe he doesn't have his finger on the pulse. Charlie, you did blow it up. You did take the Looney Tunes TNT thing out and push down on it. You traded your captain away. A guy whose number you're going to put in the rafters one day. You traded core members of your team at the deadline. You have no centers. The team, outside of a few players, has been stripped to the bones. Bare cupboard at this point. You have Pastrnak, you have McAvoy, and you have Swayman. You have Swayman. Obviously still lingering concerns about his performance, the contract saga, you name it. They're making the state of the team out to be better than it actually is. It is worse than they are saying. It is worse than Charlie Jacobs told the Globe today. He said they didn't blow it up. They blew it up. And Don Sweeney said the same thing at the deadline. We didn't blow it up. Yeah, you did. You traded half the team. Tell me right now, Skaz, who's going to be the captain of the Boston Bruins next year?
I think it's going to be David Pastrnak.
Are you sure about that?
I'm not sure, but that's where I would lean.
Do you feel good about that?
I do.
I don't.
I think I was most impressed.
Sorry, go ahead.
With Pastrnak this season. I thought he handled himself better than anybody on the roster, led from the front. And look, me and Joe kind of did a little bit of this last night, but 6 months ago, maybe even 3 months ago, I'm with you. I would not have felt that way, but I was really impressed with Pastrnak, especially down the stretch.
I was impressed, no doubt, with his performance on the ice, and maybe that will transition to the clubhouse. Maybe it'll transition to the locker room, and he becomes that guy for you. Maybe. I just know maybe my biases against Pastrnak and maybe my questions about his leadership ability and just my questions about where this team is going moving forward. I don't question who he is on the ice. I don't know if he's ready to be a captain yet. And if he's ready to be a captain of a rebuilding, sorry, I don't want to use that term, a retooling team.
Was Brad Marchand ready to be a captain?
No, but look at what happened. Like, I would not make that argument. Actually, no. I would say Marchand was probably more ready than Pastrnak, and the thing collapsed on him. Like, the team shouldn't have been this bad this year. I know they lacked talent. They had issues, don't get me wrong. They shouldn't have bottomed out the way that they did. And in some ways, that is a reflection, in part, on Brad Marchand's leadership. There has been a leadership void in that room. They've lost a lot of veteran guys over the years. It's just the way it is. So maybe you say you feel good about Pastrnak. Okay, it's not a guarantee. So like when I hear Charlie Jacobs saying, we didn't blow it up. No, you did. Like, we don't know who the captain of the team is. You think it's probably going to be Pastrnak. Do you feel good about that? You can ask that yourself that question. 617-779-0985. I just think it's a little disingenuous of them to say that they didn't blow it up. And maybe they really believe that. I kind of hope they don't believe it because I think they'd be missing the mark. All right, we're underway. Joe Murray show, no Joe. He's got some wrestling thing. I don't know. 617-779-0985. It's McCarthy in for Joe. Those were the negatives. I think there were a lot of things that Charlie Jacobs said today that I think were spot on. I want to get to those thoughts and your thoughts next.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.
So you face that. You make decisions based on your experience level and what you need to do for your hockey club, and that's how I do the job.
I think that's the way it works most places. When you take a job in sports, you're ready to be fired. Not here in Boston. Not with the Bruins. Everywhere else with Boston, yeah, you can take a job, you get fired. Manager of the Red Sox. An all-timer. Historic one. You take it just to be fired. Hasn't been that way for Alex Cora, but that's the way it was the majority of the team's history. Not with the Boston Bruins, and not in their front office. You're the GM of the Boston Bruins, you got a job for life. Feels like it, at least. Don Sweeney's been on the job for 10 years. Has done a good job. Not a great job, a good job. But it's apparent that change is needed. I think most Bruins fans would feel that way. Especially given you are going into, and I'll use their term, not mine, a retool, not a rebuild. But to retool the team, you need to have a guy who can, draft. And Don Sweeney has not been willing to do that. But if you ask Charlie Jacobs, he wants to know why you want to fire Don Sweeney. Says he just doesn't understand it. Takes it very personally when he hears criticism of Don Sweeney. Quote, "It's hard for me to wrap my head around why people call for Neely and Sweeney's heads." Well, the season you just had, that's a reason for it. The drafting, that's a reason for it. Those were the negatives from the Charlie Jacobs sit-down with Jim McBride. Some of the things that I think he was spot on about, the fact that you keep calling them cheap. The fans are wrong on this. You're wrong. Skaz, you're wrong. Feel shame. Feel badly.
Not the first time, won't be the last.
Jacobs bristles at the notion that the Bruins are a franchise unwilling to offer big contracts. The club has spent McAvoy, Pastrnak, Swayman, Elias Lindholm, and Nikita Zadorov are examples. Quote, "I feel that people are hanging on to that narrative, and they haven't done any homework. Not a little, just haven't done any homework," said Jacobs, who said the team has, quote, "dry powder," unquote, to invest in the roster this summer. He said, "We've been right there every year. We're going to be back there next year. We're going to be there this year and next year. I hear the same thing about pricing, whatever it might be. You pick a category. Guess what? We're 50-50 partners with the Players Association, so every dollar that we take in, half of it is going out the door to make sure we have the best team possible to put on the ice and help grow the sport we all love." He's right about this. You calling the Bruins cheap, you got to get over it. And you got to do your homework. He's right. The Bruins are not cheap. They spend to the cap every single year. And the cap is real in the NHL. Unlike football and unlike basketball. The cap is real in that league. So you can judge a team and judge an organization by how they spend to the cap. Ever since the cap came in the NHL, the Bruins have spent towards the top, up to the tippy top of it. They are right there every single year. Spending is not the problem with the Boston Bruins. So he's right. He's totally right about that. The problem is identifying players at the amateur level. That's the issue with the Boston Bruins. And sometimes at the professional level. Elias Lindholm, not good. Not good. Nikita Zadorov, not good. But you know where that came from? I can excuse that away. That came from a place of trying and a place of being willing to spend. They were trying to extend this window. They had money to spend last offseason because money had come off the books, and they went for it. I'm not going to criticize them for that. I'm going to criticize them for not identifying the right players. I will never criticize their approach. The approach from ownership is exactly what it should be. I cannot sit here in good conscience and criticize Charlie Jacobs and the Jacobs family for how much they spend on their hockey team. That's not the case. He has a right to be pissed about that. That narrative's out there, and it was created by his dad 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Ever since the salary cap came into the NHL, the Jacobs have spent. So he's probably outrunning some of the damage that his dad did. I get that. I understand that. It's been 20 years for us to realize that they actually do spend now. Which is why Charlie Jacobs is now trying to sell you on the fact that he's a Bostonian. In closing his correspondence to fans, whom he thanked for their unwavering support, Jacobs wrote that he is, quote, incredibly proud to be a Bostonian. I take even greater pride in being a Boston Bruin. Together with leadership, we are embarking on an ambitious journey to restore glory to this great franchise, unquote. Skaz, do you consider Charlie Jacobs a Bostonian? Do you consider the Jacobs family Bostonians?
I kind of want to say yes, but probably not.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
I don't think it matters. But you know who it matters to? You. The royal you. Not you, Skaz, because you just said it doesn't matter to you. It matters to fans. Fans don't criticize Robert Kraft because he sat on the bleachers. Who spends more in his sport relative to the other teams? Charlie Jacobs or Robert Kraft?
Charlie Jacobs.
Who gets criticized more in this town? Like, on the whole, I mean, granted, we talk about the Patriots way more than we do the Bruins, but, like, from an ownership perspective, like, I bet if you were to poll the fans, Robert Kraft would poll with a higher rating than Charlie Jacobs.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think Robert Kraft has cultivated an image that he is a local, he is a Bostonian, he sat on the bleachers, and the Jacobs, they don't have that, right? Dad's from Buffalo. They're run from Buffalo, all that. I mean, Charlie spent a lot of this talking about how his dad calls from Buffalo every day. And they mentioned how Charlie's office is right there at the Garden. I think he's kind of trying to say, like, hey, I am here. Because he is. And he gets some undeserved crap for being an outsider. It doesn't matter if you're an insider or an outsider. It only matters to me as an owner what you spend on your team. And that I can't criticize Charlie Jacobs for. I can criticize him for keeping Neely and Sweeney around because they're too comfortable with it and they don't want to make a change and they're afraid to make a change and all. That's a legitimate criticism. But the whole, like, they don't spend thing, come on, they spend. You're directing your not spending energy and anger at the wrong ownership group in town. Because actually it's the guy who's from here who doesn't spend. But they catch some crap for that. I understand why he's pushing back on that in this piece. He should push back on it in this piece. He's here. They spend. But I think there's a disconnect on the people running it. They still believe in Neely and Sweeney because they've done a good job in the past. Sure, yeah, they have. Are they going to do a good job in the future? Does Don Sweeney have the skills and the tools to now all of a sudden draft, which is what you need to do to turn this thing around and win another cup for your dad, which he talked about in this, and I believe he, wants to get his dad another cup. He's 85. I mean, I take that to heart. I mean, I think that's a good thing. I liked reading that as a Bruins fan. I believe that when he says that. I just don't think that Sweeney and Neely are the guys to get him there. And I think that's where they're missing the point. That's where they're just a little bit off base. And by a little bit, I mean a lot, because there's a lot of defense of Neely and Sweeney in that thing, and I don't feel great about it. 617-779-0985. How about Ian in New Hampshire? Hey, Ian.
Hey, Matt. How you doing? Love your take so far because it's balanced. So I think that Sweeney and Neely, at the trade deadline, they did everything they really should have done, and that's fine. I really think I'll hang up after, but I really think the thing is going forward is like they just I don't want to cross the sports, but it's like the Patriots. They just always mangle the drafts. Like they have to get the drafts right, especially since it's usually like 12, 18, 24 months out before these players usually come to bear. So I'll hang up, but it's like that's the main thing with Sweeney. Like, get the goddamn drafts right, please.
Yeah, and he's not going to. He's not. He hasn't done it in 10 years. What makes you think he's going to do it now? And that's what Charlie Jacobs is missing. He'll defend Don Sweeney up and down in this, and there are places where he can defend Don Sweeney. There are places where we should defend Don Sweeney. The drafting is not one of them. And the drafting is the number one most important factor for the rebuild of the Boston Bruins. And it's not there. It's not there. You know what I realized last night watching that game? And it's a real light dawns over Marblehead type moment. They're not close. They're not. Let's take a look at this roster heading into the offseason. We'll get into the Celtics as well. Alex Barth joining the program at 8 o'clock for a full draft breakdown for an hour. An hour of draft talk with Barth. It's everything you football nerds have ever wanted in your life. I mean, we're going to be breaking down like D3 guys. I mean, it's D3 special teamers. You want to talk about your favorite D3 special teamer? We have the man in the building. Quick update, then right back with you.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox underway with the Rays as they go for a series win. We're in the third inning right now in Tampa Bay. No score between the Sox and the Rays. Sean Newcomb on the mound. Alex Bregman heading on the paternity list today. He went back to Boston for the birth of his second child. Brian Bayo on the mound tonight in Hartford. It has not gone well so far. Gave up 3 runs in the first inning. He is expected to join the Red Sox next week. This is supposed to be his final rehab start. Liam Hendricks also scheduled to pitch for the Sea Dogs tonight in Double-A. He should be activated this weekend. Celtics opening up the playoffs against the Magic on Sunday at 3:30. NBA play-in action tonight. Bulls taking on the Heat. Kings versus the Mavericks. And the Bruins saw their season come to an end with an overtime loss to the Devils. That keeps open the possibility of getting the 4th highest draft odds, depending on the outcome with the Flyers in their final game of the year. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by, this is about to be a real Bob Uecker moment. I don't have it. It's over there. To hell with it. Who do we have, Skaz?
Yes, Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Feldman Land Surveyors.
Hey!
With Geospatial with offices in Boston and Worcester for all your survey services, you can count on Feldman to get it right from the ground up. Go to feldmangeo.com.
Smooth. Well done. I'm Matt McCarthy. Your next update. 30 minutes.
More Joe Murray coming up on the Sports Hub.
All right, Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray tonight. We'll get to you, 617-779-0985. Hey, Skaz, I dare you right now, name the top 4 centers in the Boston Bruins organization. Do it. You work in sports. You do this every night. You produce the games.
Elias Lindholm would have to be on there.
Technically, he is, yes.
Middlestat.
Yep, number 2.
Fraser Minton, I would probably have up there.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to Providence, so, I mean, he can play center, yes.
Yeah, number 4. Maybe, I don't know. Who do you want to put there?
Not any of these guys.
You want to put Zaka at center?
That's the point of this exercise. Not any of these guys. Middlestat, Lindholm. How about Patra? How do you feel about Matt Patra right now?
I've heard good things, but he's a little guy.
I've heard good things. Have I seen them?
I need him to put on a little weight, I think.
Just a little bit.
Little bit.
Mark Kastelik, I like him. He's under contract, right, for a 4th liner?
Yeah, he's a 4th line guy.
How do you feel about Johnny Beecher right now?
Not great.
He exists?
Not too good. Yeah, he's there.
I can confirm. He does play for the Boston Bruins. They're saying this is a retool. It's not. This is not a retool. This is a rebuild. You've got your goalie locked up. I don't know if you should feel good about it, but he's locked up. You've got your number 1 center locked up in Elias Lindholm. You shouldn't feel good about that. I thought Middlestat showed you something. I mean, I'm not saying that there's nothing left, but it's not good. The point being is how quickly can you turn this thing around? And just looking at their depth up the middle, I'm not convinced they can turn this thing around in an off season, because that to me is what a retool implies. Hey, we're doing a quick reset. We got to, take our medicine a little bit this year, and we'll be back. We'll be back next year, and things will be trending in the right direction. I'm not convinced that's going to happen. They've got $27 million in cap space. It's not a great free agent class. I don't think you're finding your number 1 center out there. How do you find your number 1 center? You have your number 1 goal scorer. You have your number 1 defenseman. You have your number 1 goalie. You might have questions about some of those guys. I still have some questions about McAvoy. I still have a lot of questions about Jeremy Swayman. That being said, this team has much bigger questions than those 2 guys. No doubt about it. How do you get a number 1 center? How do you get a number 2 center? Because right now, you don't have either of those things. So, when Charlie Jacobs says he doesn't understand why people are calling for Neely's head and calling for Sweeney's head, how long have we been talking about this? How do you find your next number 1 center? I mean, we've been talking about this for 3 years. Going back to the Bergeron retirement, frankly, leading into the Bergeron retirement. Because Bergeron wasn't a number 1 center by the end of it. He could still really play. He was a good player, but on a championship Stanley Cup style team, he was probably a number 2 guy. You don't have that number 1 guy. Anywhere in the organization, it's not even close. You were hoping Lindholm was going to be him. He's not him. Not that dude.
Yeah, and Bob was tremendous at the end of the game last night, and he kind of said the same about Lindholm. He said he's a 2. He's a 2nd-line center.
I don't feel great about that, to be honest.
He needs talent.
He needs talent around him. But I agree. I mean, hopefully you get more out of Lindholm than you did this year. You better, because you've got him for the next 6 years. But he's a player who has trended down and down and down. And I'm not convinced. I mean, his best season, he had, Tkachuk on his right?
It was, Gaudreau and Tkachuk.
I mean...
And they had monster years.
I mean, I could go out there, try and win a draw and get it to those guys.
I mean, isn't that kind of the fear with Morgan Geekie, too? He puts up 33 goals this year on a bad team. That's impressive. I don't want to take anything away from Morgan Geekie, but is David Pastrnak a massive part of that? Or, what is the number going to be on Morgan Geekie? I think that's a very important conversation this team's going to have this offseason.
Great question. He's a restricted free agent. You're probably overpaying for Morgan Geekie. Really, it's the one criticism I had of Don Sweeney at the deadline. I was all for trading Marchand, trading Coyle, trading Carlo, trading everybody. The guy they should have traded was Geekie. And I know they didn't trade him. I mean, it sounded like, they felt they were, they knew what it was going to take to get it done and they wanted to keep him around. I think that's a miscalculation. I do. I do not think Morgan Geekie is a 30-goal scorer. He is not that player. I like Morgan Geekie. He is a fine player. I think they're overrating who he is. So, again, spending money is not the concern. It's how you spend the money. That's the concern. Like, don't call in and say the Bruins are cheap and the Bruins are... They're not. They're not that. They're going to spend money on Morgan Geekie. They're going to spend right up to the cap. They're going to go out and add some players in free agency. And yes, they've got $27 million in cap space right now. They're going to have about $1 million by the end of the offseason. That's who they've been. That's who they are. They always spend up to it. Who are you going to spend it on? That's the real question. Especially when you have to do something, right? That's, in some ways, the cautionary tale from last offseason. They had to do something. They needed a number one center. They got Elias Lindholm 7 for $775. Bad signing. They got Nikita Zadorov 6 for $5. Bad signing. You're going to do that again this offseason because you have money to spend. An ownership group who's willing to spend it, which is a good thing, don't get me wrong. But is that how you're going to approach it? In a year where it doesn't feel like the free agent class, at least to me, is all that strong. It's a concern, nonetheless. 617-779-0985. We continue. We've got Alex Barth coming your way at 8 o'clock to talk Pats draft. Everything you could possibly want. We'll do that all coming up. It's McCarthy in for Joe Murray.
Don't go anywhere.
Again, defending the front office and blaming the coach, which is something they've done forever. It is the exact same approach. I mean, you can set your clock to it. McBride writes, similar to Neely, Jacobs pointed to the rough training camp as the root for the unsuccessful campaign that included the early season firing of coach Jim Montgomery. Quote, I felt it was a little bit disorganized. There was a real lack of structure. You see teams, to come through, they have a system. They have perhaps a fallback play, a breakout play, something. And when I watched the Boston Bruins to start the season, it was just chaos. There was no organization. I had a difficult time understanding that given Monty's record. I don't know how to answer that other than to say something was just changed. At that point, you've shopped for the groceries, you've made the meal at this point. What are you going to do? Monty didn't necessarily have any answers, and at that point, we had to make a decision, unquote. How about you look at the fact that your groceries sucked, dude? They weren't good enough. Charlie. The team wasn't good enough. And yes, there was something wrong with the Jim Montgomery thing. There was something wrong all along. But they're kind of conveniently ignoring ownership's role in all of this. One of the many reasons the Montgomery thing didn't work is because the Bruins and Montgomery did not come to a contract extension. He was a lame duck manager, a lame duck coach that almost never works. The team knows it. Monty knows it. Monty was playing footsie with the Blues all summer. The Blues couldn't wait until Monty got fired. Monty couldn't wait until Monty got fired. So to say it was a little bit disorganized, yeah, you're right. You're one of the reasons why. Ownership had questions about Jim Montgomery. Rightfully so, by the way. I'm not a Jim Montgomery guy. I know he turned things around in St. Louis and made the playoffs. I'm not a believer in Jim Montgomery. I'm not. I think the Bruins rightfully had hesitations about extending him and handing the keys of the franchise over to him moving forward. They should have had concerns about that dating back to Game 5 in 2023 when he panicked and broke up Bergeron and Marchand. And, I mean, the lines, and they were all over the place. Like, they should have had concerns right there and then. They probably did have concerns right there and then. They probably didn't really want to extend him. That's fine. You fire him. You move on. I mean, if you believe the reports, if they didn't beat Toronto in Game 7 in the first round last year, Montgomery would have been gone. So they had already kind of made the decision that they didn't want Montgomery to be their head coach. And by the way, I think they're right about that. Despite what Montgomery's done in St. Louis this year, I think they're right. Just then don't blame it all on Montgomery when it doesn't go the way you want it to because you didn't fire the guy in the first place. I feel it was a little bit disorganized, he said. Yeah, you're one of the reasons, Charlie. So that's the takeaway from this thing, is they're still doing the same thing they've always done. All the trust in the world in Cam. All the trust in the world in Don. No trust in the coach. And it'll probably be the same thing with whoever the next coach is going to be. And it should not be Joe Sacco. I'll tell you that. I know he didn't have much to work with, and this team isn't great. They're not the fourth worst team in hockey. And Sacco has something to do with that. Tough job. Not many people would have done significantly better, but he could have done a little bit better than he did. And he should not be the guy moving forward. They need a clean break from that thing the same way they need a clean break from the front office. But it certainly doesn't seem like you're going to do that. How about Dan in Mashpee? Hey, Dan.
Hey, how's it going? I just wanted to chime in on this whole coaching thing and whatever front office thing. I'm just saying, the team's been terrible for over a decade. That's definitely not on the coach.
They haven't been terrible for over a decade, Dan. Come on. They were in the Cup 6 years ago. All right? They set the record for best record in hockey 3 years ago. Less than 3 years ago. 2 seasons ago, they did that.
Yeah, I mean, I get being upset about how that season turned out, but they were by absolutely no metric terrible.
No, let's calm down. You know what, Skaz? That feels like a good moment to push away from the table on the Bruins talk.
Go to the bullpen.
If you make the call, we're going to the righty. Alex Barth 985thesportshub.com for the nerdiest draft segments, a full hour of draft talk. Can you handle it? I don't know if you can. Actually, I don't know if I can, to be totally honest. I might quit the final 2 segments. This is not my thing. Draft talk, not my thing. That's why we got to go to Alex Barth, the man who knows, the all-knowing Barth Vader in 90 seconds, no commercials.
From the 10th Year Tire Studio, the Celtics begin the defense of their NBA title starting this Sunday at the Garden.
Tatum pull up 3.
Listen to every playoff game right here. Your home for Boston Celtics basketball. Easy FM and HD1 Boston, 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox underway with the Tampa Bay Rays. They lead 1-0 in the 4th right now. David Hamilton has homered in what would have been a homer in 0 other major league ballparks. That's what the stats say. But hey, you'll take it. Red Sox up again 1-0. Bottom of the 4th inning. Sean Newcomb on the mound. He has struck out 3 in 3 2/3. It is not going so well for Brian Bayo. He's through 42 pitches. Through 2+ innings in Hartford, he has given up 3 runs. He's got a runner on second right now. Bayo making what is believed to be his final rehab start in Hartford tonight for the Sea Dogs. Liam Hendricks also supposed to pitch in this game. Celtics going to open up the playoffs on Sunday against the Magic at 3:30. NBA play-in continuing tonight. Miami out to a 10-point lead. 28-18, 4 minutes to go in the first on Chicago. 10 o'clock tonight, the Mavericks take on the Kings, and the Bruins wrapped up their season last night with an overtime loss to the Devils. Headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm Matt McCarthy on Boston's Home for Sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub, your next update, 30 minutes.
To us, Boston pride runs deep.
I'm a Bostonian!
This is Boston's Home for Sports.
Bow, bow, bow!
98.5 The Sports Hub.
How players are graded, similarly on the board? Like, what are some of the tiebreakers that you guys put into account if off the film? Maybe they have similar grades.
Yeah, there's kind of the ranking system within the grade, right? When you start stacking players horizontally amongst their position, and then vertically amongst their position, and then you start to look at it horizontally, that other players at another position with the same grade would rank higher, so maybe one player over here would lose out to another player over here, even though they're on the same line, to kind of give you an idea. But then within the position, versatility, ability to play another position, some of probably the testing numbers or what we feel like on film, but we try to go through and that's done and finished as far as the vertical process of where we see each player.
Numbers, letters, decimals, point systems, you name it. Alex Barth here to break it all down. Hi, Barth. How you doing?
How we doing, Matt? Thanks for having me.
How's the big board treating you?
It's been good. Got a couple of good picks today, so I think they might have gotten a hit or two today.
We going to get that video tomorrow? Is that when that drops? What's the deal?
Yeah, that'll be out tomorrow morning, 985thesportshub.com and social and YouTube.
All right, there you go. Alex Barth breaking down the latest Felgren Maz big board hits.
A little write-up, too.
Real quick, do we have a sense, do you feel like we're going to get a big board hit from Felgren Maz this year?
Is it the big board? Of course. What kind of question is that?
Oh, I'm just asking.
The vibes aren't off. It's not the COVID year.
Listen, I'm not talking about vibes. I'm talking from a scientific. You are following the trends, the math, the data. The guys they have hit so far. Are there any potential Patriots targets on that list?
Oh yeah, I mean they hit Jalen Walker today, who's been in the conversation for the 4th overall pick. So that's obviously one. I think Nick Martin, linebacker from Oklahoma State, is somebody who could be a fit as well as like a project player on day 3. I really like J.J. Pegues for them, the defensive tackle they took yesterday. And then I'm trying to remember who they had on the offensive line. I know they had a couple. Josh Connerly, the tackle from Oregon, certainly would be one of those starting caliber tackles in this draft, and a couple of interior offensive linemen as well. I think they hit Jared Wilson, the center from Georgia? Yeah, and Tate Ratledge, the guard from Georgia, are a couple guys who on day 2, if they want to beef up the interior of that offensive line, would make sense.
All right, 985thesportshub.com. Follow along with the big board, the almighty board. I bow down before the board, as we all do. You heard Vrabel there talking about the ranking system and how they approach things. That to me, and let me know if I'm wrong, Barth, that to me sounds like a team that is willing to draft a little bit more for need. That's the way I interpreted that. It's like, okay, well, we have guys in the same grade, but then we go horizontal and vertical, which means we're valuing one position more than another. And I'm paraphrasing. Is that a fair takeaway from that comment?
I don't know, yes and no. Tell me if this is what you're saying. I think that as they weight and grade different players, positional value carries more weight in the grade. So it's not necessarily to say we need a left tackle, so we're definitely going to take a left tackle, but the left tackles as a whole might just be graded higher than some other positions because there's more value there. I've said this for a long time. The concept of purely drafting the best player available is a fallacy. It doesn't make any sense because what does that mean? Best player available? Are we just again, who's the best at their position out of 100? There's a lot of kickers that are better than a lot of these that are better at kicking than these other guys are at their positions. Oh, but all right, kickers aren't important. Well, now we're putting now it's not best player available. Now we're putting qualifiers on it. You can certainly go too far in the other extreme too. That's what I would say that the Cole Strange pick was. Guard was objectively their biggest need that year, and they took the best guard on the board. But I don't think if you think the Patriots should take the best player available no matter what, if that's the plan, if you tell me that's what they're going to do, or that's what they should do, it's Ashton Genty. It's that simple. But it's not that simple. It's never that simple.
Yeah, best player available is usually an excuse, right? It's a cop-out.
It's a justification.
Right.
Yeah.
It's, why'd you take this guy? Well, he was the best player available. Well, you can't question that. Best player available. He was the highest rated guy on our board. Okay, yeah.
Torrey Taylor should have been a top 10 pick then last year if the smart teams just go best player available.
Yeah, so that's not that. Let me ask you this, though.
Yeah.
A week out from the draft, has anything changed for the Patriots since January? Has anything kind of fundamentally changed with the way that the draft process has gone, the way that things are going around the league, all that stuff? Has anything fundamentally changed, or are we pretty much still in the same spot that we were the day they won that game in Week 18?
I mean, the free agency class certainly shifted kind of the ways you look at it. Maybe not as much with the 4th pick, but certainly some of the others. There's the evolving, what are the Giants going to do, and Shadur Sanders of it all. I guess nothing's changed in the sense that we don't really know what's going on there, but that remains a variable. It's still the same. Left tackle was their biggest need, bar none, coming into the offseason. It is still their biggest need, bar none now. Some other things have changed around that, but that's the headline.
So who do you think the pick's going to be? Does that mean you think it's going to be Will Campbell?
If Carter's there, I think it's going to be Carter. Because Mike Vrabel talked about yesterday the talent above all else, and maybe he's not exactly the guy they want between the ears. Maybe he's not exactly Matthew Slater or Devin McCourty as a teammate or in terms of work ethic, but the guy can play. He's not totally so far gone, right? I think he just dogs it a little bit in practice. We're not talking about a guy that, anything deeper than that. If Carter's there, I think they take him because he's just another level of prospect. If he's not, I mean, to me, it's down to Will Campbell and Jalen Walker. I can't shake that Jalen Walker stuff just because you look at the kinds of players Mike Vrabel and this coaching staff had success with in Tennessee, the kinds of players they brought in here, the defense they're building. It would just be a very logical progression to add Jalen Walker to this defense, which is why I can't quit that. Short of that, though, to me, once Carter and Hunter are gone, and this goes back to your question earlier and just about the grades, you have 6, 7, 8 players that all grade out just on tape relatively similarly. That's Walker, that's Carter, that's Membu, that's Tyler Warren. We're going to put Genty to the side for this, but that's a guy like Ted McMillan. They all grade out relatively similarly, so you go to tiebreakers. What are some of the tiebreakers? Well, Mike Vrabel mentioned yesterday athletic testing, combine numbers. Will Campbell had a great combine. I think positional value is certainly something that becomes a tiebreaker. Will Campbell, there's no more valuable position right now to the Patriots than left tackle. So I think he just has all the tiebreakers against like the Mason Grahams of the world, right? So I think it would be him unless they just feel like Jalen Walker is really that finishing piece for the defense, and they don't feel like they can get that elsewhere. I think they can get a guy like that, not like that, but like to play that role later on. You're not necessarily going to get a starting caliber left tackle later on. You're certainly probably going to have to trade up. So I still think it's Campbell, but I wouldn't be surprised at this point if it's Carter.
How much does the strength or lack thereof at left tackle in this draft force them to take maybe Campbell at 4?
I don't. It forces them to be aggressive. There's going to be guys like Josh Connerly, like Ariante Ursary. We can get into Josh Simmons. He's kind of a wild card that can be had, who I think can be starting caliber NFL left tackles. Are you going to bet on those guys falling to 38, though? So this is the game. If you're not trading up from 38, your hand is forced. If you want a starting left tackle, you have to take him at 4. If you know you can move up from 38, you have to know. Like they tried this last year, they weren't able to do it. You can get up to the early 20s and get Josh Connerly, and they have the assets to do that without totally blowing up, their draft assets, thanks to Matthew Judon. So I don't think their hand is forced at 4. If they don't pick a tackle at 4, then their hand is forced, and now you've got to get aggressive from 38.
So that would be my concern. Let's say you take Jalen Walker at 4, who, if we're talking about true best player available, it might be him, right? Because I have my questions about Will Campbell. We all do.
We'll do it this way. Let's say Abdul Carter falls.
Oh, you take Carter.
Right, but now to continue that, you take Carter, you do, but now you're in this spot at tackle.
But you see, I think Carter's the best player in this draft.
Yeah.
Like, I feel strongly about that. And listen, I'm not Mr. College Football. You're Mr. College Football. So you tell me if I'm wrong. I think Abdul Carter is the best player in this draft, and his talent is so overwhelming that if he's at 4, you have to take him. He's also, that is at such an important position. If you can get after the quarterback in this league, and Mike Vrabel has talked about this, it changes the game. It changes the equation. Like, Abdul Carter might be that guy. If he's there at 4, I'm rushing the pick to the podium. Don't call me. I'm not trading. He's our guy. That's it. 9 minutes left on the clock. Name's in. It's Abdul Carter.
Roger's going to be pissed. You got to get that advertising time in.
Right,
9 minutes on the clock. But the point I was making is whether it's taking Carter because he's there or taking Walker because you think he's better than Campbell, either way, you're in the same situation. You maybe have a little bit better of a player in one of them, but you're in the same situation where you now have to do what they tried multiple times and failed to do last year, which is trade up into the back end of the first round. They are in a better position to do it this year than they were last year for a number of different reasons, internally and externally, but you can't sit and wait at 38. I know that the PFF simulator will give you Ariante Ursary there. Sometimes it'll give you Josh Connerly there. I don't know how realistic that is. We were talking about this before the show. There is going to be a run on tackles. It is going to happen early, and it is going to continue. Last year, just about every tackle went an entire round earlier than they thought we were going to. It's economics. There's not enough tackles in the NFL. There are less than 32 human beings on the planet currently that can play starting caliber left tackle in the NFL. If teams think there's a guy like that in the draft, they're going to be aggressive to get him. You can't just sit there at 38 and say, well, we'll take who's left, because there is a real chance, Ursary included, that there's not going to be anybody left. And after Ariante Ursary, it is a steep drop. So there's guys I talk about as day one starters, and there's guys who are year one starters. Yep. A day one start, self-explanatory. Day one, you can start right away. Year one, at some point in his rookie year, but not right away. I don't even know if there's any year one starters at left tackle after Ariante Ursary.
That's tough.
So you can't, if you miss your flight, there's not another one coming. Like, you got to make the flight. Even if it's the late one, you got to make it.
I think they're forced to take Campbell at 4. I don't think Carter's going to be there. And if we're talking about, taking Walker instead, who, by the way, I think is probably a better player, because I think he might be a guard.
Walker has better upside.
He does.
The fact he's one of these guys because he's kind of like Travis Hunter in a sense. Because he played multiple positions in college, and they're both on the same side of the ball, but because he played multiple positions in college, he's not really great at either one of them. He hasn't mastered either one. So you're taking him there, kind of banking on that versatility, and then hoping you can figure out where he plays best and play him there the majority of the time. Those guys can work out. Like, that's not to say those guys can't work out. There's tremendous upside there. But I don't think he has the instant impact. Like, I don't think he's quite as NFL ready as Will Campbell is.
Right, but is Will Campbell going to be an all-pro tackle?
No, but I don't think he has to be to justify the pick, especially in this draft.
At 4th overall?
In this draft, Matt, and at that position, if they draft him and he plays solid left tackle for 10 to 12 years, like he's a guy we're never complaining about, we're never talking about replacing.
Nate
he's
Solder.
there, he's showing up. Nate Solder, right? A little bit longer tenure, ideally. If he's like maybe he's not a top 5 tackle in the NFL. If he's a top 10 tackle in the NFL for a decade, left tackle, that justifies the pick to me. In this draft especially, worth it.
Okay, put your scouting cap on.
Yeah.
Is he going to be a top 10 left tackle in the NFL?
Yeah.
With his physical limitations.
I think he can be.
T-Rex arms. Rawr.
Okay, so first of all, Rashawn Slater's doing this at 33 inches. Don't use that 32 5/8 number because the NFL got the measurements wrong at the combine.
I love your NFL combine conspiracy theory.
It's not a conspiracy theory.
It kind of is a conspiracy theory.
Dane Brugler reported there are NFL teams that are not trusting those numbers, that are not using those numbers. If it's a conspiracy theory, it runs pretty deep.
I'm saying I like it. I'm just saying it's a giant conspiracy.
People sent me the Pepe Sylvia thing from Always Sunny. Let's not forget, Pepe Sylvia ended up being a real person. So was Carol in HR. So there is something to this. Yes, I think he can be. Do I think he's going to be Jonathan Ogden? No. But that guy doesn't exist in this draft. I don't know that level of player exists in this draft at any position, including, by the way, Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. Those guys are definitely a different tier prospect than everybody else. I don't know that either of them they don't go top 3 last year. I don't know if they go top 5. Carter doesn't. I don't think Carter goes top 5 next year. Last year, certainly. So that guy's not here. If you can get a 10-year starter at a premium position where it is impossible to find talent, and I think Will Campbell can be that guy, that's a win for me.
So you think Will Campbell is the pick at 4?
If it were me, yes. But I can't quit. Like Jalen Walker, just the way they've operated this offseason, it's just a very logical next step.
More on that. Quick commercial break. We got to hear from the sponsors. Alex Barth is here. You want to ask him a question about your favorite player in the draft, your D3 special teamer that is going to be an undrafted free agent out of where? I don't know, Cortland State. Pick it. You ask Alex Barth. He will know. He will have the answer.
I do have a roadie long snapper take for you. URI long snapper.
Oh, my sweet Jesus. What is wrong with you? Did you hear that, Skaz?
I was privy to this information before it even hopped on.
Oh, my God. Barth, I like you. I love you. You are a friend. You have been a friend of mine for 15 years. Dude, get help. 617-779-0985. More on the Patriots' 4th overall pick and his Rhode Island long snapper take. Sweet Christ. We continue. It's McCarthy and Barth in for Joe.
You're listening to Joe. You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Celebrate Easter this Saturday and Sunday at the 99 Restaurant and enjoy.
hour. Line up your calls for Barth on the NFL draft. Anything you want. I mean it. 617-779-0985. So we just covered it. You think the Patriots are taking Campbell at 4 because you do not think that Carter's going to fall to 4. You think the pick is going to be Campbell, correct?
If I had a pick, it's Campbell, but I'm like 60-40 Campbell Walker. I'm down to those two. It's not going to be McMillan. It's not going to be Genty. I don't think it's going to be Mason Graham. I'm down to those two at this point.
So work with me on this.
Yeah.
They take Walker. Yeah. All right. They take Carter falls to them at 4.
Sure.
They do not take Campbell.
Yeah.
They don't get their tackle at 4th overall. I know you said it's going to be easier for them this year to trade back up into the first round to get Josh Connerly.
Yes.
That would to me would be my target. Lindy's has Connerly as their best tackle. They have him better than Campbell. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but Connerly would be the guy I'd want to come back up for. Are they putting themselves in a nearly impossible position by being so desperate to come back up to get the tackle that they will either have to overpay significantly or they won't be able to get it done? Do you worry about that scenario playing out?
No, and it's not a them thing. Remember before I said there's internal and external scenarios that make it easier for them to trade up?
Okay.
So I know Patriots fans want Shadur Sanders to go 3 because it means Abdul Carter falls, right? If Shadur Sanders does not go 3, you got to root for him to drop like a rock, because now what happens is you are going to have teams bidding to move up into the late first, talking about the Giants and the Browns and those teams in the high 30s, the Jets maybe. You're going to have teams bidding from the top of the second to move up into the late first to take a quarterback. That's going to knock out a couple teams that are looking to trade down that maybe can extort a little bit more. You're also not trading up to as high of a pick. Well, the tackle is falling because the quarterbacks are going. I would not be surprised as well if, let's say, Sanders goes a little higher in the first round, 21 of the Steelers. Maybe the Steelers move up a little bit and get him.
Or somebody jumps Pittsburgh, gets into the teams to take Sanders because they think he's going to go to Pittsburgh at 21.
Now are Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart in play at the end of the first because some team needs a quarterback, is really desperate, thought Sanders was going to fall, and we know teams will get stupid at this position. 6 quarterbacks should not have gone in the first round last year. It should have been 4. So I'm not ruling that out either. You have these teams moving up, paying too much, satisfying the teams that want to trade down, pushing the tackles further down the board. Now you're getting teams that maybe aren't as hell-bent on getting the big return. You're also not moving up as far. You don't have to give up as much. And now you still have to make the trade. That's not to say you can just give up a third-round pick and nothing else to whoever you want, but the quarterback thing could actually help the Patriots on the back end if Sanders doesn't go 3, to push the tackle a little further down the board and make the trade a little easier.
So what you're saying is the run on tackles doesn't happen as early because there ends up being a run on quarterbacks.
Right. There's going to be a run on something, I think, at the end of the first. It's either going to be tackles or quarterbacks.
Last year it was tackles, right?
If it's tackles, you got to move.
Yep.
You got to move, but there was a couple guys where Kelvin Banks is kind of the barometer of this. He could go as early as probably 7 or 8. He could go as late as maybe 14 or 15. So you're going to get a good gauge kind of there of what the tackle market is. But if it's the quarterbacks, you do kind of have a little more flexibility now where you're not in that market. You don't really care about that market. Let all the quarterbacks go in the first round. You don't care.
So Banks is an interesting one to me.
Yeah.
He's the second guy, right? On most tackle boards.
Depends what you want to do with Armand Membu. He's the second best left tackle. You can say that.
What's the difference between him and Campbell? You break it down for me.
So there is some concern with Banks about he might be a guard. That's more stylistic than physical build. He's more like stout. He has longer arms, but he doesn't necessarily have the same reach because of the way he moves. And he doesn't have maybe the same, what's the word I'm looking for? Not power, but like, they're just stylistically, he blocks.
Campbell strikes me as a bit of a mauler.
Yeah,
at left tackle, which is kind of, you normally think of that at guard, right? But like watching him play, and listen, you've watched him way more than me.
He's nasty.
He's nasty. Like he has a bit of a mean streak to him.
That's not the concern with Banks. It's more, I guess the way to put it would be, he's good in space. Like he can block on the move. He's not as good going outside of his frame.
Okay.
So he has the length, but he doesn't necessarily have the technique to be able to do that.
Whereas Campbell maybe has a little bit more of the technique, the wherewithal, the willingness, what have you, just doesn't have the arm length.
If you looked at the tape and you looked at the numbers and they didn't have the names on them, Kelvin Banks blocks more like he has Will Campbell's measurements than Will Campbell does.
Got it. So you're not a fan of the idea. I mean, let's say, Banks at 4 is way too high, right?
Yeah, just because I think Campbell's better. Like, if that's the guy you want, Campbell has a better chance at becoming that high-level tackle than Banks does.
Yeah, and I just wonder if there's hesitation, because when I hear Elliot Wolf say, when Felger asks him, is he a tackle? And Elliot Wolf says, tackle or a guard. Like, that makes me say, they think they're not 100% convinced he's a tackle.
Or do they not want teams to think that they're 100% convinced that he's a tackle?
So I don't think the 4th pick has really any value. Like, in a trade, right? So it's not like you're trying to drum up, trade activity. I mean, of course, you're always trying to drum up trade activity, but let's be honest, Barth, who's coming up to number 4 and for what? Like, I don't see that happening here in this draft. Like, you let me know if I'm wrong.
There's some dumb teams that really need a running back at 6 and 12. So that's one. The other thing is Vrabel said he thinks he's a tackle. And who do we think has more say in that room?
Vrabel.
Right.
I pray to God Vrabel has more say in that room.
Vrabel said tackle. Vrabel did not say guard. Vrabel said tackle. And the other thing is, this is just a draft nerd thing that I don't like. There's this weird thing where people like to say, yeah, he's a good tackle, but he'd be better as a guard.
Yeah, most people would.
Right. No offense to guards, but like guard's kind of an easier position to play. Like, you can't just have left guard 1 and left guard 2. Somebody has to play tackle. I don't doubt. Name a tackle. He's probably better as a guard, but it's kind of this take cover where if the guy doesn't work out a tackle, you get to say, well, I told you he'd be better as a guard. And if he works out a tackle, you get to say, well, I still think he'd be better as a guard. So I don't know. I get it with Campbell because of the arm length, kind of, but there were people last year, I think, and not a lot and not loudly, but there were some people like, Joe Alt would be a really good guard. Yeah, he probably would be. There's no reason to make that move. But yeah, sure, if we're going to have that conversation, he probably would be.
Are you okay with the pick in hindsight if he ends up being a guard? And listen, I think he'd probably be a good guard, right? He would probably be an all-pro guard. You said you don't think he's an all-pro tackle. Is that fair? I'm not putting words into your mouth,
I mean,
right?
I think he has that ceiling. I wouldn't bet on it, but I think he could, be a guy that's a Pro Bowler and maybe sneaks in an All-Pro or two. Again, Rashawn Slater was an All-Pro one year. He's 33-inch arms. I think, technically he's similar to Rashawn Slater. He has the skill.
But if he ends up being a guard, and a good one at that, are you okay with them taking him at 4?
If it's not over, I'm assuming that Carter and Hunter. I hate that every time we have any conversation, we have to add that qualifier in.
Let's work for the sake of... All right. For the next 30 minutes,
and
Barth,
people lose track. Trust me, I've tried this for months.
For the next 30 minutes, we are working under the assumption that Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter are off the board. Because guess what? They're probably going to be. Because Shadur Sanders probably isn't anything.
Yeah.
It's all about whether Shadur Sanders is worth something, and the Giants want him or the Browns want him. That's it. And I'm not counting on that, and you shouldn't count on that either.
So, that being said, I would not fault them for taking Will Campbell because you can only go with the information you have. The whole, hindsight, whatever. Well, if you look at what happened, yeah, but we don't know what happened. They really need a tackle. There's a strong argument that he's the best player on the board. I mean, duh, right?
Right.
If the combine hadn't screwed up the measurement and he had 33-inch arms.
Oh, Barth, don't go back to your combine conspiracy. Skaz, Barth is starting up with his white zone crap again. The red zone is for the loading. Yeah, we get it, Barth. You think it's a conspiracy? They were out to get him.
It's a little more a conspiracy.
Out to get everybody.
All right, let me put it this way.
A Barth-spiracy. The measurements were short. We were talking about him having T-Rex arms before the combine. We all knew his arms were short. Guess what? His arms are still short. Whether or not the guy with the measurement got paid off by somebody to screw up the measurements.
But the whole number is 33 inches. That's what, and it's an arbitrary number, but that's what everybody goes off of. If that was the number, I think a lot less people would be freaked out. It's just that. If you want, Patriots fans of all people, we're going to believe in NFL sanctioned measurement all of a sudden.
This is my favorite thing you've ever, outside of your Rhode Island long snapper take, which I know you have coming up, which we're going to save. This is one of my favorite Barth takes ever. The
and
NFL
let me be clear,
Combine.
by the way,
yes.
It's not just Cable. Everybody's arms are off. Some guys are off much more than Campbell. Poor Marcus Mambeau lost a full inch. JT Tuimoloau out from Ohio State, and edge rusher lost an inch plus.
Poor Marcus Mambeau.
Yeah, they did, and he dropped below the 33 number. The league might have cost him money.
They shortchanged. They shortchanged poor Marcus Mambeau.
They might have cost Marcus Mambeau some money.
So, like, where are the players on this? This feels like something, incoming draft class, like, they should be furious about this.
Well, I mean, you heard what Campbell had to say at his pro day. The real interesting thing is going to be the agents, and I wonder if next year we start hearing that some players don't want to get measured at the Combine.
Kind of be a bad look, wouldn't it, for those players? I just take my Combine measurement and I go for it, because then you can always...
I think the NFL is going to air the measurements next year after all this. I wonder if they'll do that.
Just for you. They're going to air the measurements just for you. They're going to respond to all of Barth's letters to the NFL.
I'm telling you, it's not just me. All the draft people are big on this.
But you should see the stuff that Barth has tweeted out on this conspiracy. It's Barth is a measurement truther. Like every guy out there, you're shortchanging me. I swear, you are. 617-779-0985. Don't ever change, Barth. You're the best. One open phone line. Grab it. Your phone calls, I promise, with Barth next on anything draft-related you want. Quick update, then right back to you. Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray, Alex Barth hanging out for an hour talking draft with you. So to you we go. 617-779-0985. Your questions for Barth. Anything you want. For the draft man himself. Tom in the Bay Area. What's up, Tom?
Hey, fellas, thank you for having me. Barth, love your stuff.
Thank you.
Assuming we take Jalen Walker 4th overall, two players I feel aren't getting enough consideration at tackle and receiver, being Ariante Ursary and Jalen Royals out of Utah State. Just curious where you think those guys would be for us as far as 2nd and 3rd rounders go.
Yeah, so Ursary we kind of talked about a little before. I think I like Ursary more than most people, whereas Connerly is the more technically skilled athlete at the tackle position. Ursary's 6'6", 330, long arms. He's a little more raw, but he's mean. I like him. Maybe he gets to 38. If you're waiting at 38 for a tackle, he's your best chance, but I think that's 50-50. But I like it. Like, if they drafted him, I'd be happy. I'd feel good. I'd feel a lot better, I should say, about the left tackle position. Jalen Royals is a day 3 pick at receiver. I like him as a player. I don't love him for the Patriots. Like, I think he'd be better in other situations. Good receiver, a good slot receiver, like, kind of fits that mold for McDaniels. But he's not as explosive as a guy like Kyle Williams or Jalen Knoll, who might go in that range. And I think they need guys that give you a little more after the catch, a little more burst. Royals would be interesting, but you're back in that sort of crafty, wins with his mind more than his athleticism sort of receiver. They've tried that the last few years. I'd let somebody else figure out Jalen Royals. I'd like to see them take a player with a little more raw athleticism.
How soon would they possibly take a wide receiver, though? I mean, are we talking as early as 38 if they get Campbell at 4?
So who falls? Like Matthew Golden from Texas. Let's say they get the tackle at the top, right? Or they don't, and they don't care about the tackle position.
Which,
I mean, hopefully, but just my point being.
Yeah.
Let's say they're in a position to take a wide receiver with a trade up. Matthew Golden's mocked right now anywhere from the high teens to maybe getting into the mid-20s. If Matthew Golden gets to 20, 21, 22, I'd start calling. I think he's that good. Reminds me a lot of Deion Branch. And you put him in kind of a Z slot role in this McDaniels offense, he's going to be a guy that's going to be very successful. After that, Jalen Knoll is another guy that's a great fit as a true slot for McDaniels. His projection's a little wider too. 38, if they get a tackle at the top, wouldn't be. It would. People would yell that it's a reach, but it's really not a reach. Just the way this draft is structured and for their preferences. So there's like a couple of guys that I could see at 38. I think realistically 69 though is where they're looking at most of those guys.
Kevin in Mansfield. Hey, Kevin.
Boss, all right. So I guess we're working under the premise here, going into the break, that the two blue chippers are gone.
Yep.
So if we're going to address left tackle, I want to run this by you. I debate this with my buddy Scott from Mansfield quite a bit, and he believes your word is gospel. I believe that if you could trade back, right, and the guy I will talk about all the time that you kind of touched upon is Josh Simmons. Yep. By all accounts, if you get that guy to a year post-injury, he was going to be a premier left tackle and, like a top 10 type pick. Why would we not look to trade down? And I don't care if you get exact draft chart value. I'm not talking, get into the teens or early 20s and get a first or next year. Even if you got a second and you traded down and got Josh Simmons, and you would have if you want to call him a Nate Solder type for 8 years, you'd have that, and you'd pick up a second-round pick.
Before you get into the player, Barth, are they going to be able to trade down from 4?
I mean, I'm sure they'll have offers. I don't know if they'll have any good ones. I'd say this. I really don't want them to trade the pick for less than it's worth. Don't make the trade just to say we made a trade and it's less scary picking it 7, 8, 9 because you don't want to be known as the team, like newish front office. You don't want to be known as the team that's just giving draft picks away. You don't want to set that precedent with your first round pick. I'm all for trading it, but trade it for what it's worth. To me, it depends how far back you're moving, but the caller mentioned a future pick. I'd love a future top 50 pick. If you're moving down this year, get an asset so you can move back up next year. As for Simmons, and his range is really wide because of the medical thing. Torn patellar tendon. This is the same injury that Cole Strange has that kept him off the field for a calendar year. Simmons is supposedly making good progress, but one, you still don't know what that means when you get to contact. And if you have to add another starting left tackle anyway, my argument is if you're going to draft Simmons for the future and you still have to get a guy for this year, Why not just get the guy for this year and then draft somebody next year that doesn't have the injury concern? And also with Simmons, it's not just about when he's good to go. Their long-term durability concerns with that injury. It's not the same for everybody. My comp for him, I have 2 comps for him all draft process, have been Dominique Easley and Malcolm Mitchell. Malcolm Mitchell especially.
Yep.
Malcolm Mitchell was really good when he was on the field. How much was he on the field? So
Barely.
Vrabel talked about this yesterday. He learned during his time in Tennessee, you have to be careful with these injured players. If the medicals check out, I'm not against them taking them. But you got to have a really strong belief that everything's okay medically, both in the short term and in the long term. Because the last thing they can do is use a first-round pick on a left tackle that isn't going to be on the field for them.
Bill and West Newton, did we steal your thunder on Simmons? You have anything you want to add?
Well, you did a little bit, but I do have a backup. But thank you, Matt, for acknowledging that.
You're welcome.
I have 2 quick points. One was, with the value of the tight end the last several years, is there any scenario where we could trade down a bit and get Warren? What do the Patriots think of him? And number 2, let's say the Velociraptor arms of Campbell is true, and hypothetically he had the career of Alan Faneca, close to a Hall of Fame guard. If that was the case, would he be worthy of the 4th pick?
Real quick, you want to take the Campbell thing first? I've got another Warren call that I'll take after that.
If you tell me there's a Hall of Famer in this draft, take him. Because there's not a lot of guys that look like they have that ceiling. I don't care about the position. If you think there's a guy that's a Hall of Famer in this draft, you take him.
Kevin and Dedham on Tyler Warren. Kevin.
Trade down a bit and get Warren.
Kevin, you got to turn your radio down. Not ready to go. Sorry, Kevin. Your thoughts on Tyler Warren?
So I like Warren. Vrabel spoke very highly of him at the owners' meetings. He is an older prospect, so that kind of caps the ceiling, late breakout prospect. You're committing to being a 2 tight end offense, which maybe they want to do, but you're committing to that if you take him because you're not going to take Hunter Henry off the field. They have so many other needs, it feels like a bit of a luxury pick. I almost put him in the same category as Genty, not quite. I think there's a little bit more justification to draft a tight end than there is a running back. If they get a haul to trade down, and he's the best player on the board at 9 or 10, and he's maybe the last from that group, right? Ted McMillan, Mason Graham, those guys are gone. Yeah, he wouldn't be a terrible pick if you get the haul. It's not the best pick for the long term, and it's not the best pick for the short term. So it's kind of like, what exactly are you trying to do with this pick other than just, you can like the player, but you need to have a path for the player to succeed. I like the player. I don't really know where the path is.
Devin and Taunton. Hey, Devin.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
What's up?
Good.
Hey, so my thinking is I really want Will Campbell. That's who I want to tackle because I think, on the right side you'll have Moses, Strange, Bradbury at center, Owenu at left guard, and Campbell at left tackle, right? But my question for you guys is say we take Campbell at 4, and then, there's all these runs on tackles because everybody's freaking out because we're taking a tackle, and then we trade back in for a receiver. How far back would you let that fall, and how long would you let that run, and who would you take, say, at 28, 29?
Golden's your guy, right, Barth?
I don't think at 28 or 29.
Oh, right.
I mean, he would be, but there's a chance that he doesn't fall to range where you can trade up. I really like Luther Burden. I do. He's so explosive. He's so good with the ball in his hands. Zay Flowers, but bigger. He's built. He's got muscle on him. There's been some Debo comps out there. I wouldn't go that far, but there's some questions about his attitude. He had some, he would kind of freak out on the sidelines last year. Now, the offense fell apart. The quarterback was terrible. I very much understand why he was frustrated, but he was visibly frustrated. Is that the kind of guy they want? I don't know, but stylistically, X's and O's the player, great fit. You might be able to get him at 38 if enough teams are scared of those outbursts. The other thing, he did mention Cole Strange in there. If they take Will Campbell or a left tackle, at the top, I'm not opposed to them using pick 38 or moving up and taking a left guard because I don't think anybody they have on the roster is a definitive answer. There's some guys with upside, but no real answers. You get a guy like Tyler Booker, who is the team captain in Alabama. He might be the meanest dude in this draft. He is a bully at 340 pounds. Campbell, Booker, why am I blanking on that? Bradbury, Onwenu, Morgan Moses. That's a freaking line. You've done a 180 on the offensive line.
I don't hate it. And I know you might say, okay, you take a tackle who might be a guard, and then you double down and you take a guard.
If you're taking Campbell, you're taking him with conviction that he's playing tackle. The thought in the building shouldn't be, we might move him in a guard.
Right. I guess you could always move a left guard to right guard. I mean, you could eventually figure it out. I don't hate that one bit.
It's not sexy, but it would pay off.
You tell me, Barth, in a year that the draft isn't good, right?
Yeah.
And the draft is not good this year. It's a weak draft. If you're telling me that you can come out of it and improve your offensive line, which is your number one
significantly
need, double down on it. Double down on it. I don't hate that one bit. It's my favorite thing you've said tonight, outside of your Pepe Sylvia comment, which was pretty good. More with Alex Barth coming your way next.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way.
people who tweeted in their questions for Barth, which we will get to. We also have comments in the YouTube chat, including a lot of people commenting on your combine conspiracy theories, measurement conspiracy theories. One person calls you a size queen, Barth, which is, we'll just kind of leave that there. That's what the YouTube chat's for.
The crazy people?
Yeah, they are not crazy. They are wonderful.
I appreciate them. I do appreciate them.
They are wonderful individuals. I thoroughly enjoy.
They do not like, I see it on Sunday mornings. They do not like my takes on the arm length. I'm well aware of that.
I love your arm length takes. They're crazy, but I love them. Man loves himself a good arm length conspiracy. Asa in Nashua. Asa.
Hey, guys, how's it going?
How you doing?
Hey, quick question for Alex. I don't know if you've seen the Colton Miller news tonight.
Yeah.
What are you looking for that? A 3 and a 5? Does that get him here?
So, for folks who may have missed this, Colton Miller was left tackle for the Raiders.
He's been their starting left tackle for, I think, 4 or 5 years now.
He wants out, wants a new contract type of thing?
So he wants a new contract. There's nothing about the trade. Jeremy Fowler reported earlier, Raiders left tackle Colton Miller is not currently participating in the voluntary offseason program as he seeks a contract extension. Miller, 29, is a 7-year starter and 2026 free agent. Las Vegas has not engaged in contract talks with the former first-round pick. So there's nothing in there about a trade. Generally, when I see these, I default to teams aren't letting left tackles go because there's just not enough of them. Maybe they really like Will Campbell. Maybe they really like Kelvin Banks. Maybe they think Armand Membu can switch sides. You can talk them into it. If Colton Miller is available, the Patriots should absolutely make the call. I think one of the thirds probably gets it done on its own. You want to throw something to sweeten the pot. Honestly, I would even, and I'd want to get maybe another pick back. I would even consider trading 38. I don't know that you need to do that, but I would, because if you don't, you need to use that pick to trade up to get a tackle if you're not taking a tackle at the top of the draft. So one way or the other, that pick is probably going towards a tackle. Now, if they really like Will Campbell and they believe Will Campbell's left tackle, there's no need to do this because you're going to get him. He's going to be on a rookie deal. You're done. If they, are unsure about Campbell, or maybe they like Campbell but they like Jalen Walker better, this is absolutely something they should explore. But I default to, I don't think he's actually going to become available.
Well, that's my sense, too. Like, it's the voluntary off-season workout
I'll believe it when I see it.
Right, that he's not taking part in. You know who probably doesn't believe this, too? The Las Vegas Raiders. Like, they'll say, okay, yeah, stay home. That's fine. And if we need to trade you over the summer, maybe we'll trade you over the summer.
Right.
Like, there's not going to be enough movement on this issue to determine what the Patriots do going into the draft this year.
No. And you can't wait and say, well, we're not going to take a left tackle because we think maybe we can trade for Colton Miller in June. Like, you can't approach it that way, because if he's suddenly not available, uh-oh.
Yeah. How about Matt in the car? Hey, Matt.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
What's up? Good.
So, Barthy, this one's for you. Yep. I think most Pats fans like myself would love to see some combo of, left tackle, edge rusher, and receiver with those first 3 picks. If the Pats surprise us with going Walker first, how do you kind of feel it shaking out? And then same thing with if they end up taking Campbell first, what those trade-up situations look like, and those kind of 3 guys you're looking at.
So how do you think the Patriots' first 3 selections are going to go?
So if they take Campbell, I think you got get aggressive, move up and get a tackle, and after that, because you're probably giving up a 3rd-round pick. I think at that point, this edge class is good, but it's top heavy. So if you're taking if you're taking Walker, moving up and taking a tackle, I guess you took Walker, but he's more of an off-ball linebacker. Like, you're probably good on the edge at that point. Maybe I take a real project player, a guy like Jaw Joyner or Colin Oliver in like the 5th or 6th round, and that goes to the top of the board next year. If they take Campbell, it's all wide open. You can now sit at 38 or move up. There's going to be some receivers and edge rushers, I think, at 38 that certainly fit. Maybe you go elsewhere. Maybe they do want to invest more heavy in tight end. You get a guy like Mason Taylor. Maybe they want to get aggressive at running back and a guy like Quinshon Judkins. Like, if Will Campbell goes at 4, after that, to me, it's all in play. They're not going to take quarterback. They're probably not going to. I wouldn't even rule out another tackle, though. They're not going to take a quarterback. That's pretty much it. If Campbell goes off the board at 4, I think it's all on the table.
Barth said he was going to stick around for one more segment, which is good because we have tweeted in questions, we have people on the phone, and his sick Rhode Island long snapper take, which has been holding in for, I don't know how you've held it in this long, Barth. You sick individual. Quick update, no commercials, right back with you.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, this is Boston's home for sports.
Holiday 3, good night. Jalen forces it up over Somebody tied it.
WBCFM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub Headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox trying to hold on to a 1-0 lead. Top of the 8th inning in Tampa tonight. David Hamilton has homered. Red Sox with Garrett Whitlock on the mound coming out of the bullpen. We'll see if he pitches a second inning. But again, Sox out to a 1-0 lead. Brian Bayo making his should be his final rehab start tonight for AA Portland and Hartford. He was tagged for 4 runs over the course of 4+ innings of work tonight. In the NBA, play-in action. Heat out to a 76-59 lead on the Bulls. Kings taking on the Mavericks later tonight, 10 o'clock. And the Bruins saw their season come to an end last night with an overtime loss to New Jersey. Headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm Matt McCarthy on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update, 30 minutes.
Get
There's the potential there for big stuff.
98.5 The Sports Hub app. Get the app.
Badly asking. I'm just enjoying talking draft with him. He said, I don't have anything else going on tonight.
Look, it's the week leading up to the draft. I know what happens. Sunday hits, I get to give my reactions, or next Sunday hits, draft's over, I give my reactions on Monday, and then I'm back in the supply room for 4 months until you guys need me again for camp. So I'm going to milk all I can this time of year.
We need him.
I got a question, Bart. This is something that we really talked about at the end of the season, but it seems as the draft's gotten closer, we haven't really discussed it as much. How much impact does losing that number 1 pick have on the draft?
So I don't think it has as much of an impact on this draft as it does on next year's. And what I mean by that is, like, they might lose out on Abdul Carter, and that's not nothing, or Travis Hunter, but like they can still have the offseason they needed to have this year, whether it be with pick 1 or pick 4. It's maybe not going to be quite as great as it could be, but like they can still have a very solid offseason from pick 4. The difference is, like, they were not picking at 1. They weren't. Mm-hmm. They were always going to trade down a quarterback team. That would have meant a future first-round pick. So that's a pick you don't have next year that you could have had. That's when I think you really feel the difference in winning that game, because you don't get the haul you would have gotten in that trade down.
And to me, you're probably still getting Abdul Carter, right? Or Travis Hunter, because I'm guessing you're not falling all the way back. Right? I mean, if Tennessee were picking 2, is Tennessee moving up to number 1, and you're getting a future return, but then you're getting Abdul Carter at number 2.
Well,
you know what I mean?
But here's the thing: who knows? Because we're not talking about Shitter Sanders, who we don't know how many teams want. We're talking about Cam Ward. Are you going to move back to 2 so you can get one of those guys? What if the Jets? Or what if one of these other teams is back at like 5, 6, 7, but not the Jets. That's a bad example because they're in the division. Maybe the Raiders don't trade for Geno Smith. Maybe they really like Cam Ward, and they will give you a haul, multiple future picks, and you'll move off those guys because what you're getting next year in a better draft is so overwhelming. So it honestly, as weird as it sounds, it doesn't impact the 2025 offseason as much as it impacts 2026.
How about Steve in New Hampshire? Hey, Steve.
Hey, guys. I'm curious about this Raiders tackle. This is probably overthinking, but I'm wondering if we can move back from 4 to 6, get the tackle for our trouble. Maybe we have to kick in a 5 or something for their trouble, and then we can grab Walker or Genty at 6 and, go project tackle or receiver at 38 and end up getting 3 players just to move back a couple picks. I'll hang up and listen to your thoughts.
I don't hate it. I don't hate that one bit.
I'd rather just give up a day 2 pick. I also don't know. I think the Raiders would rather have a day 2 pick. Who are you getting at 4 that you're not getting at 6?
Right.
The only guy would be an offensive lineman, which if you have Colton Miller, you don't necessarily need. Like they strike me as a Ted McMillan team, maybe a Mason Graham team, Ashton Genty.
Right, and they can get any of those guys at 6.
Yeah, they're not getting. I know that sounds like a lot. unless they want a quarterback, that's not as much as it maybe sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point is I just don't think 4 has value. I
not
don't.
like it does, but not like it would in a normal year.
All right, questions for Barth. At Matt McCarthy 98.5, at Real Alex Barth on Twitter. McTakey, please ask Barth his thoughts on Trey Harris out of Ole Miss.
So Trey Harris, like they've been chasing this big outside X receiver for a while, and Trey Harris being at Ole Miss, kind of being like physically overpowering. Like he's athletic, but he's not fast. He's going to get A.J. Brown comps. They're there. I don't think he's quite that. Evan Lazar has compared him to Brandon LaFell, which I think is a good comp. They need an X receiver. They need a guy with size that can go out there and handle coverage on the backside. I don't think he's amazing. I don't think he solves all their problems at the wide receiver position. You still need a number 1. But I think he can be competitive. I think he could be useful in this offense. If you can get him at 38's probably too early, 69's too late. Maybe you move up into the late second. Like, I wouldn't hate that. I think I might like Elick Aomanor a little more. I think he's got a little more burst, similar kind of player. But he fits. Like, he fits. He definitely plays a role for him.
Joshua says, why don't you think the Patriots will take a quarterback in the draft? Isn't it good to get a late-round guy you can develop? Barth, who is your Joe Milton guy this year?
There is no Joe Milton. I have to say that.
There's only one Joe Milton for Alex Barth. By the way, I haven't seen you in person since that went down. I'm so sorry. Are you okay?
I'm good. Like, I'm happy for him. He's going to get, I think he's going to have a better chance to play there than he will here. And that means we get to watch more Joe Milton, which is a win for everybody.
This is like, trying to explain away the breakup. No, I'm really happy for her.
Well, no, you asked how I feel, not how I feel about the team making the trade, but how I feel personally.
No, how you feel personally.
The more Joe Milton we get to watch wherever, the better, in my mind. I wonder if they could have waited to make the trade personally and gotten a little more, but it means we get to watch more Joe Milton because he would have been the third stringer here, so I'm good with that. You're not going to find a quarterback with his traits on day 3 in this draft or probably ever again. If they want to do the toolsy, let's get this guy in, see if he can pop in the preseason, and then maybe we flip him if they want to try to do that again. There's 2 guys I look at. It's Curtis Rourke from Indiana and Brady Cook from Missouri.
Okay, there you go. Barth's Joe Miltons of the year, sort of. Donald asked, do you think there's a chance they will move down in the draft in the first round, to be specific? I feel like we've already answered that, so let me rephrase that question. Are they going to do what they did last year, say in the second round, where maybe you've got a couple guys that you like? We don't need to take Ladd McConkey because we can get Jalen Polk a few picks later. Are they going to trade down on day 2 at all?
So the weird thing is this draft's actually structured much better to make a move like that than last year's was.
Agreed. Can they justify that?
I would hope they're not moving down from 38 because 38 should be traded in a move up back into the first round. They might move if they stay at 38. Let's say they take Campbell at the top. There is some justification for it, but I would hope 38 they're using to move up, not down.
I'd be okay. Their third pick is 69, right?
Yeah,
I'd be okay moving down a little bit in the third round, just because it feels like this draft is all bunched together. It's
but you have draft, 69 and 77, so they can go like the Judon pick there, so they can go a couple different ways from that. But let's say you take 77 and 38, and that's what used to move up into the first. And then you move 69 to move down to recoup the pick you lost and like the total count. That makes sense.
We have somebody asking, who are some developmental players that can step in on special teams right away in rounds 5 through 7? There's
a lot.
Oh my God.
We got.
This is like football. Did you hear that question, Skaz? Like, hey, talk to me about these special teamers in rounds 5 through 7. I'm assuming that's a serious question because there are sickos out there like Alex Barth too. Give me your sick answer to that.
Well, and Jeremy Springer talked about how much more important it's going to be covering kicks this year because
he's answering this seriously.
Rule.
Skaz, he's answering this seriously. Well, my God.
We got one guy on the big board today who I think fits that. Tyreen Powell. Played a significant amount of special teams at Rutgers.
Is that a real
captain.
Guy? Is he a real person?
Rutgers special teamer? Sign him up.
Team captain.
Sign him up.
Tyreen Powell.
I just Googled him and showed me the picture to prove that he's real. By the way, Barth definitely dropped in at least one fake name.
I have not yet. I should have. I have not yet. The guy I'll give you, though, that like Vrabel guy, Sean Dolak, linebacker, Buffalo, went from being a walk-on to an All-American. His production the last couple of years was insane. He's a little undersized. He's not quite athletic enough to play linebacker at the NFL level in like a heavy role, but could he be a sub linebacker and be a great special teams player? I think so, and you can probably get him in the 6th or 7th round.
Yeah, who's going to be the next Larry Izzobath?
Sean Dolak.
Just
told you.
His name is Dolak.
Former walk-on at Buffalo, turned All-American. You're telling me Vrabel's not going to want the walk-on turned All-American?
Maybe, yeah, probably. I don't. I mean, this is sick behavior right now, including this question.
If I couldn't answer these questions, you guys wouldn't have me on. This is how I got on the air, being able to answer these questions.
I know. Nobody can answer these questions better than you, which is why we have you on.
But ask me what I had for breakfast this morning. I don't remember.
I don't care, but I do care about the, well, no, I really don't care about the All-American linebacker from Buffalo.
Well, do you remember like 2 years ago, you had me on?
No, the answer is no.
No, you had me on and we were talking about, it was during spring practices, and you were asking me about the receivers, and I brought up Malik Cunningham. You go, who the hell is Cunningham? Ended up being one of the biggest stories of that season. That's why we talk about these
training
guys.
Camp. I forgot he existed.
You never know. You never know who's going to be a story.
No, I did know in that moment when I said, who the hell is Malik Cunningham? Which, yes, then we spent 4 weeks talking about him in preseason
we spent
football.
like 4 months, way more than we needed to, talking about Malik Cunningham.
So who ended up being right? Philosophically, from a philosophical perspective, who ended up being right in that discussion?
But I never said whether or not he was good.
No,
he was relevant.
I immediately said he wasn't good. Who is this guy? Why are you telling me about him? And why do I need to know? And the answer, it turns out, was I didn't need to know because you haven't thought of that name in 2 years and nobody has either. So who is right?
Oh, no, I still get a tweet every once in a while. Who's the Malik Cunningham in this draft?
It's
Tommy Mellett this year, by the way, from Montana State.
Jesus Christ. Like, you think about that. You and the sick person out there who's like, tell me who's going to be the next preseason star so I can think about him so much and then forget he ever exists. Like that person, yes. But this is who we're catering to at 9:15 at night. The sickos like you. And I say that as a compliment. Ending with the sicko question of the night. Who is your favorite local, this from some dude named Football is Life?
Makes sense.
Yes. Favorite local FCS player who is going to be drafted?
So my first instinct was Max Brosmer, who we just talked about. If they want to do the
How do you spell that?
BROSMER.
Oh, he's real.
Yeah. So if they want
Minnesota.
Well, so wait. So let me explain.
Okay.
So he was the starter at New Hampshire for 5 years, and then transferred to Minnesota last year.
Right.
We just talked about quarterbacks. If they want to try to get the toolsy guy that they can flip. On the flip side, if they just want a guy who's going to be an arm and not get in the way, that's Max Brosmer, who is at UNH. But that technically doesn't answer the question. Last year, there were a bunch of Holy Cross guys. There's a guy from Brown, a guy from Harvard. There really aren't a ton this year, so I had to dig. But usually in training camp, the Patriots bring in a second long snapper to help balance Joe Cardona's workload. And if you have 2 kickers, which they will have, it helps you go through reps. Donato Cristani from URI was an All-American long snapper for Rhodey. So do you bring him in as a UDFA? And that they've had it was Tucker Addington for years was their second long snapper. I think he's on another team now.
Who is Tucker Addington?
He was their second long snapper. I just told
you. I don't believe you. I don't know that. This is Tucker Addington.
Tucker Addington. He's on the Texans now, so you need a new practice squad long snapper.
He has a Wikipedia page.
Yes, he's played in the NFL and other leagues.
Which leagues?
The UFL.
Which sick spring football league?
If we're doing other leagues talk, I
just
don't know.
The USFL. That's it. I thought
just the USFL.
I'm sorry. What's this long snapper's name again?
Donato Cristani.
In on that.
Or sorry, Crisanti. Donato Crisanti.
Still in.
Bring in
Rutgers transfer.
URI long snapper.
I did have one John Enright, a frequent tweeter to the show. He said, Barth, is anyone from locally outside of BC, like UConn? Does UConn have a chance of having any players drafted this year?
Yeah, they had a tackle taken on the Felgren-Maz big board, who Chase Lunt.
There we go. Bring him in.
Was their starting right tackle for 4 years, shorter arms, but he's like 6'7", 306. But he doesn't play to his size at all. He might be a guard at the next level, but he'd be a tall guard. Felgren-Maz big board took him. He's probably a day 3 pick.
Speaking of a big board, a big wall, Tampa's center fielder just kind of crashed into the wall, and there's now a hole in it, in that ballpark.
AAA ballparks.
Where's the team? So the Rays are playing there. It's a minor league ballpark. Where's the team that usually plays there playing?
It's a great, at the Tampa Yankees. I don't know.
Also for Oakland, like I keep meaning to look this up. Oakland, the A's. Like
Great
what
question.
happened to the because I don't get why they didn't just go play at the minor league ballpark in Vegas.
I mean, what are the Tampa Tarpoons? They're no longer the Tampa Yankees. Where are they playing this year? It's a good question. Let's see. They will play their home games at Community Field at GMS Field. So they are playing on the practice field located next to Steinbrenner Field. It has a capacity of 1,000 people.
How do you feel about your league having 2 teams playing in minor league ballparks this year?
Listen, I don't feel great about it.
You call my sport minor league all the time.
No,
but they're playing 100,000 person stadiums.
Yes.
Your major league is literally playing minor league ball.
The Oakland thing, that's an embarrassment. The Tampa thing is a joke because, like, somehow this minor league ballpark actually is probably not as Mickey Mouse as the Trop. But, I mean, what are you going to do? There was a hurricane, right?
Well, they should have been out of the Trop 5 years ago. It never should have come up. 10 years ago.
But that's, I mean,
they literally play in a hockey rink.
Yeah. With you on that, but I fault baseball more for the Oakland thing.
That's fair. That's fair.
No, I mean, baseball needs to get serious and get that team out of Tampa. That's what they need to do. Like, the Oakland thing, it's like that team shouldn't be out of Oakland, but baseball wanted them out of Oakland, so this is the way they're getting there, whereas they actually really should want the Rays out of Tampa.
And in Nashville.
And literally anywhere else besides Tampa.
I vote Nashville.
It's a bachelorette city. I know it's growing fast.
College baseball is huge there, so you can pick Vanderbilt and Tennessee are both.
Look at the hole in that wall. Look at that.
Wow. What part of his body made that hole? Like, was that his elbow? Was it his knee?
Like knee? Something like that. That's
not a hole. There's something like stuff. Oh, did they plug the hole? Is that what that is?
No. That's whatever that is. This sport. That's from his knee.
Yeah, he ripped it.
His knee went into the padding.
He ripped the padding.
How much do they pay for that padding? Like $2.99 a square foot? Like, what's the deal? Like, they just go to like Home Depot? What a joke. Hey, Barth, thanks for coming in.
This was great. Thanks for having me.
Always good to have you.
Yeah.
Barth Vader himself. Get some sleep. You got a week to go until the NFL draft.
I'll be on Toucher and Hardy in 10 hours.
All right.
So you can hear me then.
Go home. Get some rest. Thanks for coming in, Barth.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. It's McCarthy in for Joe Murray. We got to get into the Celtics. We haven't gotten to the Celtics yet tonight. We'll do that next.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening.
does a nice job of kind of getting to this 3-2 count and not missing this pitch.
I know we said we'd talk Celtics. We will get to the Celtics, but hey, this Red Sox game went way faster. So your post-game reaction to this, 617-779-0985. Driving around, listening to the Sox. We got you now. They needed that one. Big series win in Tampa, and that's not something I thought I would be saying, but the last two nights it feels like the Red Sox stabilized themselves just a little bit. This has been an up and down beginning to this start of the season. There is no doubt about that. Ugly start in Texas. They run off 5 in a row. Then they have that hideous series against Toronto, an even worse series against Chicago. You dropped the first game of this series in the fashion and the manner that they did, and it felt like things were going sideways for this team right out of the gate. And sneaky, maybe sneaky big in the grand scheme of a season, these 2 wins in Tampa Bay. You don't want to overrate 1 out of 162, but this was a big one for the Red Sox tonight. On a night where they had Sean Newcomb on the mound in that ballpark, where the ball is flying out of there. It's Yankee Stadium dimensions with Tampa humidity. It's a minor league ballpark. It's a joke. It's all of that. Every way you want to describe it, it's true. And to win a game 1-0 with your 5th starter on the mound, a guy who you weren't even thinking was going to be in your rotation to start the year, and he gives you 4 2/3, which felt like massive innings for the Red Sox. With the injuries they have in their rotation right now, this is a big one. And the bullpen, 4 1/3, and they were lights out. Weissert came on, got out of a jam in the 5th inning, scoreless 6th. Whitlock was really good, struck out 4 over 2 innings of work, and Slayton struck out 2 for the save in the 9th. They did not go to Chapman tonight after Chapman was forced to come into the game last night after Cora kind of strangely tried to get 3 innings out of Zach Kelly, who I don't want to get 2 innings out of, frankly, let alone 1. So kind of a big win for the Sox tonight. Big win to stabilize things just a little bit. Now you come home, we said this last weekend, with the White Sox coming in. You get a day off, which you have not had many of to begin the year. You can hopefully reset your rotation a little bit. Fitz is hurt, so we don't know who's going to go on Friday. Maybe we'll get an answer from Cora. They could go to Crochet early on in the series. He pitched on Sunday. They might want to give him the extra day. I probably would. You've got a 4-game set against the White Sox. You should be able to, I don't know if you can get Hunter Dobbins back up for that, but they needed this one tonight. They needed this series win, and they got it. On a night where they pitched and caught the baseball. The offense still isn't doing it. The offense still is not getting it done. A little bit more understandable tonight because Bregman was out of the lineup, paternity leave. They gave Christian Campbell a day off. So, the bottom of the 5 through 9 of your lineup tonight, Romy Gonzalez, Tristan Casas, who sucks and blows, went 0 for 3 tonight, did work a walk. So again, it went Gonzalez, Casas, Narvaez, Hamilton, Rafaela. Hamilton hits a solo home run. Granted, a home run nowhere else, but you'll take it. And you win the game 1-0. But the rest of the offense needs to be better. We know that. The approach still isn't good enough. But on a night where it felt like hits were going to be at a premium based on the lineup you trotted out there, and they were, you found a way to win the game with your 5th starter on the mound. They needed something like that. They did. And now they're 10-10. And it's been a wild ride to 10-10. Now it's about stabilizing. And now it's about where you go from here and how you get better. Because there are ways to get better for this team. A lot of chatter today about Roman Anthony, who has a barrel. Do you want to guess what Roman Anthony's barrel percentage is in Worcester, Skaz? Which is normally not something I'd really care about, but it's so absurd that I'm almost forced to care about it. You know what it is?
The only reason I know this is because I heard Carabas earlier today. I wouldn't even known what to guess before I heard the discussion earlier. I would have said 20%, 10%.
Yeah, which is normal. How many times you barrel up a baseball? It is 38%.
That does something for you.
It moved. It moved. I'm thinking about the Roman Empire today. Let me tell you what. With the way they've struggled to hit this year, you've got a guy barreling 40% of the baseballs he sees in Worcester. He made it to AAA last year. I know he's a left-handed bat, and I know he's an outfielder, which is two things you have a lot of. I want to start thinking about ways to get him in the lineup. I mean, he is the future, right? You're all fired up about Christian Campbell. Roman Anthony is a more highly touted prospect than even Christian Campbell. I want to start thinking about ways to get Anthony in the lineup now, because you're not going to win many games like this. They're not built to win many games like this. 1-0 in that bandbox of a ballpark where you get 5 more hits tonight and David Hamilton is the only run you get on a solo homer. Like, that's not sustainable. Let's talk about what's sustainable, what can improve, and what will not improve. The defense, to me, should improve. Some of their struggles have been on the left side, which is crazy to me. I'm not a Trevor Story guy, but at least he can field. He hasn't really done that this year. I mean, he's had bad moments. Bregman is on pace to lead baseball in errors at third base. He's not that. He's a really good defender. So I think the defense will get better, at least on the left side, which is important. I'm not convinced the offense gets much better than this. With their approach and with what, the bottom of the lineup is giving you, I mean, it's not this bad, but you can be a hell of a lot better if you bring up somebody like Roman Anthony. Question is, how do you do it? And somebody floated an idea last night who would know. Is the future of Roman Anthony directly tied into the future of Tristan Casus? Might sound crazy. They play 2 different positions. Dave O'Brien, of all people, floated a solution. I'm not convinced Dave O'Brien is in the middle of a broadcast dropping the nugget that he dropped last night about the potential future at first base for the Boston Red Sox. We will get to that and your phone calls. Coming off a 1-0 victory for the Red Sox. In Tampa tonight, they improved to 10-10. 617-779-0985. More on what struck me as a very informed comment about Tristan Casus coming your way next.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox pick up a win, 1-0 off a solo home run from David Hamilton in the third inning. It was enough for the Red Sox bullpen, who tossed 4 1/3, scoreless innings. Sox win the series and improve to 10-10 on the year. They are off tomorrow. They take on the White Sox on Friday. Pitcher still... key guy. On a night where you had to win 1-0 and you did, Garrett Whitlock, 2 scoreless innings, 4 strikeouts, 1 hit. No walks. Top 5 most important guy on a team, which, by the way, is not great given that his injury history and it's hard to count on him. But if he's ever going to be successful in a role, it's going to be this one. The exact same role he had in 2021. And he's been really good for them so far this year. Frankly, the bullpen's been really good for them so far this year, which I'm not sure if that's sustainable because Chapman's been great. I don't expect Chapman to be this all year long. Slayton was nasty tonight in the 9th. He's just never done it before over the course of a season, and Whitlock is, obviously we know how good he can be. We just don't know if he can stay healthy. But the bullpen's been really good so far, and the lineup hasn't been.
Yeah, almost, there was a night, I wish I could remember exactly when it was, but it was like a 7-3 game, and then it went to 7-4, and then they brought Chapman in, and it's like nights
last
like
night.
that. Was it last night?
Last night,
Just
yeah.
another night where Chapman should never have come into that game, but that's the situation they keep finding themselves in. Like, I just worry about taxing the bullpen this early in the season.
And Chapman, they stayed away from him tonight, back-to-back nights, and there's a lot of data. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that Aroldis Chapman is not the same guy on back-to-back nights, which is not a good thing if you can't hit and you're going to have to win low-scoring games, because so far the Red Sox haven't hit this year. So the bullpen's been good. I just worry about this adding up over the course of the season. So you're going to have to start hitting more. They have to start hitting more. The team has been, they were built to hit, and they haven't. And they haven't hit because their approach sucks. We all know it. Their approach sucks. They strike out too much. They don't hit the ball on the line. They try to hit the ball in the air. Their swings are too long. They don't have a lot of smart hitters. Like, Trevor Story is not a smart hitter. He's been one of your better hitters this year. He's a dumbass at the plate. He has no idea how to shorten up his swing and put his bat on the ball. Can't catch up to heat, doesn't know how to hit. A lot of their guys don't know how to hit. Like, Cedon Rafaela has more talent than a 211 and a 520 OPS hitter, I think, but he's a dumbass. Free swinging all over the place. They have too many dumbass hitters. It's not that they don't have talent, they have dumbass hitters, and they have a dumbass hitting coach.
Yeah, so my question is, if someone who's watching from the outside, Trevor Story's batting .299.
Yep, that's not going to happen.
Dumbass, as you just stated.
Correct.
Rafaela, .211, like you just mentioned.
Dumbass hitter.
What does that make Tristan Casus? Batting .172 right now.
Tristan Casus is the smartest hitter on the planet. Haven't you heard?
I've heard.
He knows exactly what he's doing. Which, let me tell you, though, in his mind, Casus is batting about .420 with an OPS of about 1,300. He's never seen a bad pitch. I don't know if you knew that. He's never seen a bad pitch. Tristan Casus, to me, I'm really starting to wonder what his future is with the Boston Red Sox. And it's not, listen, we know they tried to trade him this offseason. I know some of you want to deny it. There was a contingent of Red Sox fans on the internet. I don't mean to stereotype, mostly younger Red Sox fans on the internet who basically wanted to put their head in the sand and act like the Red Sox were not trying to trade Tristan Casus this offseason. They were. Trust me. Milliken, I know this doesn't work on the radio, but I'm going to do a little, not Milliken. I called you Milliken. I'm so sorry, Skaz. Skaz, I'm going to do a little wink at you. They tried to trade Tristan Casus. All right? My sense is they are fed up with him. How could you not be? We watched the Netflix doc, which, by the way, actually, if you haven't watched, it's really pretty good. It's a good doc. For a team that went 82-80, I think Netflix did just about everything they possibly could have to make it an entertaining, compelling doc. I recommend it. It's good.
Did they run out of money at the end of the season, though?
Yeah, and they weren't there for the Cora thing.
Yes.
They didn't really cover that. That would be my one complaint.
Because Cora asked them that they had to be there in spring training. So apparently they allotted enough money to be there for a certain amount of time. And
Is
then
that true?
That's what I heard. I don't know if that's true.
I
but
can believe it.
So yes, that was my only gripe, was they missed kind of the dumpster fire at the end of the season and the entire Cora thing. But other than that, the documentary on the 82 and 80 team was fine.
Honestly, I thought it was pretty, for what it was a pretty good Pretty good product. I enjoy. And it's not just because I close out episode 6, all right? Very big part of the end of episode 6, where they use my audio from the trading deadline last year to go back to Portland, where I got my broadcast start with the Portland Sea Dogs, and Roman Anthony. Which brings me to Roman Anthony and his future. How do you make room for this guy? Some of you would say, yeah, Cedon Rafaela. Yeah, that makes sense. Duran goes to center, Rafaela goes to the bench, Anthony goes to left. There you go. Unless designated hitter is open. Huh? What? How? Listen to Dave O'Brien out of nowhere on the Red Sox broadcast on Nesson last night. This is what he had to say.
1-2 coming. Good rip there. Might we see Raffy begin taking some ground balls at first base?
Stop. What? I'm sitting there. I'm watching the game. I'm half watching it. Right. I'm literally falling asleep on the couch. It was one of those nights. Because by the way, baseball, perfect fall asleep on the couch sport. I love it more than anybody else. But like I enjoy falling asleep to a baseball game. How could you not? That woke me up. I was like, what? Casus, Devers, DH. What? Say that again. I had to rewind. Can we please rewind?
Might we see Raffy begin taking some ground balls at first base?
He takes ground balls, but some of the day they could have been short. I like to see him. You talk about versatility. Somebody goes down, you could still put a glove in his hand, right? He could play. I think he could handle first base no problem, but something happened to this guy or Bregman. I mean, it's baseball, right? Things happen. You don't want it to.
No, I'm just thinking if Casus continues to struggle, and it's the one area where the Red Sox really don't have a solution if Tristan Casus is not playing first base, not on a regular basis.
Well, really, you could say that about the corners. First and third.
Given the fact that Alex Cora has said that Raffy is not going to play any third base.
My antenna perked right up when I heard that. Dave O'Brien is not Mr. Let's stir the crap, right? He's not me. He's not a sports talk radio host where you come in with a crackpot idea and try and get some calls. By the way, your Red Sox crackpot theories right now at 617-779-0985, I fully welcome them.
Can I just very quickly give you my favorite part of that clip?
Yes.
Right after Dave O'Brien proposes the idea.
Drops a bomb?
Just listen to the reaction.
Might we see Raffy begin taking some ground balls at first base?
Is that the pitcher? Is that the pitcher going?
I'm not sure what that was.
Or is that Lou Merloni being like, oh boy, I got to answer. Wait, actually, that's the sound of me waking up from my stupor, coming up. What? Red Sox drama? What? Oh, something to talk about tomorrow? What? Listen, I'm coming back from a wedding in Alabama over the weekend. So A, I'm coming back from a wedding. B, I had to travel down to Alabama. We didn't get until like 6 a.m. More on this in Murray's Musings coming up shortly. But I was falling asleep last night. That was the sound of me waking up being like, oh God, Tristan Casus story? What? Rafael Devers playing first base? Dave O'Brien saying that? He's heard it from somewhere. He's heard it. This isn't me coming out and saying, hey, what do you think about... This isn't Sully from Dorchester calling in saying, yeah, McCarthy, what do you think about putting friggin' Devers at first base and Casus? Let's ship him out of here. He sucks. Like, that's not that.
Well, what's more likely? Roman Anthony at first base or Rafael Devers at first base?
Rafael Devers at first base.
I 100% agree.
There was reporting last year from Ken Rosenthal in September about signing Bregman and moving Devers to first base if Tristan Casus could be traded for pitching, which the Red Sox could not. Why? Because he's a pain in the ass and nobody wants to deal with him. And maybe people don't buy in on Casus' ceiling, which I'm starting to doubt a little bit. First question, by the way, Jared Carabas asked me tonight. I come in, put my headphones down. I'm like, hey, what's up? First thing out of his mouth, he says, you believe in Casus? I said, well, not to the extent that Milliken does. I mean, the answer, do I believe in Casus? I believe in his talent. I don't believe in his mentality, so no. Like, where's this coming from? I don't know. Just something to keep an eye on. Something to monitor. So, very simple question. Are you done with Tristan Casus? Skaz, I'm going to do that thing again that doesn't work on the radio, but maybe it works for YouTube. I think, maybe I even believe, that the Red Sox might be fed up and kind of done with Tristan Casus. Think. 617-779-0985. I don't think Dave O'Brien's just throwing that out there. So are you on board with it? Are you ready to give up on Casus? And if so, are you ready to move Rafael Devers to first base, at least trying it there, which would then open up a slot for Roman Anthony to come up, and then you can rotate somebody through DH. You can have Rafael play the field a little bit. It helps to guarantee at bats for Roman Anthony up here. Makes it a little bit easier. Or maybe when Yoshida comes back, he gets to DH a little bit. For a team that, by the way, could use a guy who could put his bat on the ball. What do you make of it? Are you done with Casus? Should they be done with Casus? More on this coming up, 617-779-0985. But first we have Murray's Musings with a life lesson from a wedding in Alabama for you, Skaz, because that's exactly what you want to hear. For all the weddings you're going to go to in the backwoods of Alabama, I have something for you. I'm serious, that will carry you through and will make your days better. That comes your way next.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray.
You want a random take? Murray's got all sorts on stuff in the world unrelated to sports. So sit back, relax, and get your mind in the game and listen to the words of a...
Think about how many things have been mused upon.
I was in high school and Joe was doing Murray's musings.
I don't want to say I was present at the creation, but I actually, Gaz.
When able, you know.
What do you mean when able?
It's tough out there, Matt. Sometimes you can't carry cash, but I always try and have $20 on me, something like that.
On the tough streets of Raynham? Like, what do you mean?
I'm just talking financially, you know? Things are expensive.
I get, inflation. I mean, it's not going great right now. Economy, not in great shape. I hear what you're saying on that, but right, like, if you so happen to have money, even if it's just a little bit of money, I'm saying carry a small percentage of the money that you have in cash form.
I'm in on that.
Surprising for a young person like you, Skaz, because most young people look at me like I have 10 heads. Kendra Middleton is borderline offended that I carry cash. She says it's the ultimate old man thing. So Kendra, here you go. Always carry cash for one reason and one reason only. You never know who you're going to have to pay off at a moment's notice. That's it. And trust me, if you're paying somebody off, you can't be like, excuse me, what's your Venmo? Can you give... No, a wedding in Alabama, I should say. Had to go to Atlanta to then drive 2+ hours across the state line into Alabama for this wedding. We get delayed in Boston. Mechanical issue. Never a great sign, by the way, when you see two dudes out there with headlamps and the engine to the plane open. You're like, I'm good. I don't want this. Just two dudes out there working. Nope, I'm good. Thank you. They switch planes. Thank God. So we got to walk to the other end. It's great. All right, we eventually get in the air. We're 3 hours late. We get into Atlanta at 2 a.m. We're walking through Hartsfield. Now, I know Hartsfield's a busy airport. I say, Jesus, this place is packed. Of course, everybody's now been delayed 3 hours because there was a massive ground stop in Atlanta. Everybody's there. We get to the rental car area. You have to take a train, then another train because it's Hartsfield. It's a pain in the ass. We get to the rental car area at 2:30 in the morning. We're going down the escalator, going past Enterprise. Like, look at those suckers waiting in line for their rental car. We have a reservation. We go past Thrifty and Budget and Dollar. Look at all those suckers. We've got our reservation. We go down to another rental car company, which I will not name. Nobody in line. Great. Look at this guy. Got it figured out. Reservation. We walk right up. Hey, how you doing? I got a reservation. Yeah, no can do. No cars. Well, what do you mean no cars? Yeah, we don't have any cars. Well, we have a reservation right here. It's been paid for. Sorry, buddy. You're SOL. Yeah, nothing. We have no cars. All right, well, I guess we're staying in Atlanta tonight. No hotel rooms at the Atlanta airport at Hartsfield-Jackson at all. All booked. Every last one. We have no choice. We got to get a car. What am I going to do? Sleep on the ground at Hartsfield? Like everybody else? Like every schmuck that we're walking past? Sleeping? No. We get in line. Say, let's split up. Go to one counter each. I get in line at 1. The lady says, listen, make a reservation here in line. It'll all be, you'll get the cheapest rate. Done. Phone out, reservation. Wait a half hour. Still in line. Everybody's there. They come back out. They say, all right, if you made a reservation after 10 p.m. tonight, we might be able to get you a car at 5 a.m. It's 3 a.m. now. I might be able to. Do you trust the person working the rental car counter who says, we might be able to get you a car in 2 hours? Do you trust that person?
No shot.
I'm like, I got to take matters into my own hands. I've got my reservation on my phone. I walk right up. $20 bill. Out of the pocket, Skaz. Slip it underneath the phone. I say to the rental car lady, you strike me as the type of person who's been making stuff happen here tonight. She looks at me, looks at the 20, looks back up at me and says, you're damn right I am.
I love that.
Paid her off. They're turning people away. Sorry, you didn't have a reservation. Nah, you got to wait a couple hours. Only reservations right now. No, only reservations. You don't have one? Oh, $20 bill in my pocket? She says to me, well, you're a pretty tall guy, right? I said, listen, all I need 3 seats. I don't care. I don't care what the car is. I'm not picky. We just need a car. You're a tall guy, aren't you? Well, yeah. How tall are you? 6'5"? Well, we have to take that into account, don't we? Brand new 2025 Nissan Rogue. Handed to me. Hertz gold line right there. It wasn't Hertz that we got the company. She made things happen. Skaz, always carry cash.
That's the moral of the story right there. You never know. You never know.
You never know who you're going to have to pay off. Mechanic, I need my sticker, man. $20. Maybe sometimes a little more. You driving around an old car, as some of us have always done. Yeah. Last car, towards the end. Maybe there was something that, might have been wrong with it. I'm just saying, maybe. You go to one place, they say we can't do that. You go to the next place, they say we can do that. Yeah, no problem. There's nothing wrong with your car. There you go. $40, there you have it.
Another place this is great too. Everyone always talks about the Vegas sandwich.
Yes.
You don't need to be in Vegas.
Anywhere.
Any hotel. I've had this work for me countless times. Any hotel, 10, 20, doesn't upgrade. Sweet. All the time. They're just so happy to see cash at all.
You know why? Because they're not getting paid for the hotel room that you get. They're getting paid hourly rate, whatever it is. They have no reason to do anything for you. They are not beholden to you. They are beholden to the person who writes their check. So all of a sudden, you start putting a little something in their pocket, they're going to take care of you.
I've gotten some great hotel rooms for an extra, $10 to $20.
You can't beat cash, folks. You can't beat cash. The great Jimmy Stewart says, I'll never be offended with cash. Nobody in history has ever been offended with cash. So if I walked in, Skaz, and I said, hi, ma'am, what's your Venmo? She's going to be like, get the hell out of line. I got 50 people behind you. Screw you. No, I want to give you money. Well, then all of a sudden, everybody's going to start giving the money because they're not smart enough to hand her over just a $20 bill slipped under the phone with your fake reservation. You're walking out of there at 4 a.m. with a car when nobody else is. Can't recommend it enough. Outside of that, cannot recommend Alabama at all. I would not recommend anything in that state. But you got to get there, and trust me, you got to drive. A little $20 bill right under the phone. I make stuff happen, Skaz. 90 seconds, no. Oh, wait, birthdays. We got to do birthdays, right? Martin Lawrence turning 60 today. Actress Claire Foy turns 41. She played Queen Elizabeth, right? Anya Taylor-Joy, who was outstanding in The Queen's Gambit, turns 29. Sadie Sink turns 23. What do I know her from?
Stranger Things, I believe.
I haven't seen Stranger Things.
You're not missing much. You're a history guy, man.
Love some history. What do we got?
We got it is Wilbur Wright's birthday today.
Oh, one of the Wright brothers. He had airplanes.
Born on this day in 1867.
Good for him.
It's also Charlie Chaplin's birthday today.
And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He turned 77. There's a sports one for you. We've had better birthday days. We've had worse, but we've had better ones.
Matt, it's Bill Belichick's birthday today.
Oh, Bill! Happy birthday.
73 for old Billy B.
Only 73? Age is just a number, though, according to Jordana, right?
Apparently so.
It's just a number. All right, 90 seconds, no commercials. Quick update, then right back with you. We'll get to the Tristan Casus news and some articles that were written before all of this went down that would seem to indicate that what Dave O'Brien said last night, I think it's very possible. I think the Red Sox might be done with Tristan Casus. 0 for 3 for him again tonight. Sox with the win. We'll get to all of that coming up next in your call. 617-779-0985.
From the 10th Year Tire Studio, the Celtics begin the defense of their NBA title starting this Sunday at the Garden.
Tatum pull up 3.
Listen to every playoff game right here. Your home for Boston Celtics basketball. Easy FM and HD1 Boston 98.5. The Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station.
Sports Hub Headlines, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox beat the Rays tonight 1-0 behind a David Hamilton solo home run. Sean Newcomb tossing 4 2/3 scoreless innings. Garrett Whitlock is part of a 4 1/3 scoreless innings out of the bullpen for the Red Sox tonight. He tossed 2 scoreless, 4 strikeouts, 1 hit. Sox pick up a series win. They're off tomorrow. They host the White Sox beginning Friday. Brian Bayo's rehab start not so great tonight in Hartford. He gave up 4 runs. He is expected to join the Red Sox next week. Liam Hendricks also pitched for the Sea Dogs tonight. He's expected to be activated this weekend. In the NBA play-in tournament, Heat winning the 9th place versus 10th place game. They beat the Bulls 109-90. Dallas and the Kings just about to get underway. And the Bruins lost last night. Their season is over. Overtime loss to the Devils. Celtics opening the playoffs on Sunday against the Magic at 3:30. Headlines are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm Matt McCarthy. Your next update at 10:30.
Listen to it, laugh at it, get mad at it, agree with it, argue about it. It is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Instead of getting a rental car, did you miss the part where I said we had a 2+ hour drive to Alabama? Who is driving you to Alabama at 3 in the morning? And let put it this way, if you find a person who's willing to drive you to Alabama at 3 in the morning, you don't want to spend 2 hours in a car with that person. I'm just let's not mess around. No, we had to get the rental car. That was the only way to go about it. Am I missing the point on that, Skaz?
No, that's certainly not a Lyft ride I'm taking.
No.
Who's
showing up to pick you up for that one? That's not. You don't want to mess around with that. You just don't. 617-779-0985. Pat in Shrewsbury. Pat.
Yeah, hey, Matt, you're talking about being old, but I hope you realize that was exactly the plot of a Seinfeld episode, because I'm significantly younger than you, and I immediately, as soon as you said it.
You better believe it was the first thing we referenced, Pat. Reservation? What's the point of a reservation if you don't have the car? Which we briefly referenced in a moment of freak out. We are seriously going to have to sleep on the floor here at Hartsfield. We're just going to have to do that. Yes, I'm well aware that was a Seinfeld episode. It's a great Seinfeld episode, which goes to show that Seinfeld still holds up in the year 2025. Even though a lot of the scenarios that happen in Seinfeld, how many of them are related to leaving a voicemail or something and you get a voice like that? How quickly do you call the person? Well, you text them now. You don't call them. You don't ever call people, which, by the way, I hate. Big phone call guy. You might be surprised by this. The baseball fan, big phone call guy, hates texting. You want to reach me? Call me. I'll pick up. You want to reach me? Don't text me. I'm probably not texting you back.
Did you have the same exchange with the lady where she asked if you wanted insurance on the car and you told her you're going to beat the hell out of it?
I don't even know. She briefly asked about insurance, but it was no, this guy means business. He's handing me a 20. He just needs the car and he's getting out of here. So no, there was very little upselling, which is amazing. Again, she's not probably getting any money if you get the insurance. So what does it benefit her to upsell me on the insurance? I give her the money. She got everything she wanted out of the scenario. I get everything I wanted out of the scenario. Thrifty rental car got everything they wanted out of the scenario because they got me to give them their money or my money. It works. $20 bill. Nobody's ever been offended by it. Nobody's ever been offended with it. 617-779-0985. I see you in the YouTube chat. Love the people on YouTube. Always the best. Thoughts on the NBA? If you want to share a thought on this NBA 9 versus 10 play-in game, you're more than welcome to. There you go. We do have Tristan Casus reporting from this past fall that I think ties into what went down last night, what went down tonight. Sox get a win. Tristan Casus hitless again. What's going on in Worcester? We'll get into all of that and anything you want. Celtics, we haven't got the Celtics tonight. Plus, very important news we need to get to later on in the program. Skaz, I think we found some alien life. Legit, New York Times. This isn't a grandpa on the internet. This isn't your uncle on the internet. This is the New York Times. We have news.
This isn't the Hollywood Reporter or one of those magazines you get in the checkout line.
National Enquirer?
Yes.
No, not one bit. New York Times reporting on extraterrestrial life, potentially. We'll get into all of that. I would love to get Tristan Casus' thoughts on alien life and alien beings.
Where's Carl Everett when you need him?
Doesn't believe in the dinosaurs. You know who did believe in the dinosaurs, though? Mookie Wilson.
Yeah, because they believed in him.
He said if he believes in dinosaurs, then they would believe in him. And that's what gets him out of slumps. I wish the dinosaurs didn't believe in Mookie Wilson. Maybe things would have gone differently in '86. We'll do that all coming next.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 90.
All right, Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray tonight. Skaz, can I ask you a question that I would probably only ask you in the safe harbor? Between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. for those not in the radio business.
Please.
As your finger is hovering over the dump button. I don't know why I get the ads that I do on Twitter. I can't tell you how many times I'm having to mute ads. I'm like, I'm not interested in this. 98% of them are political at this point. Like, I just want sports. So I have muted so many what I would characterize as wingnut political ads on Twitter that now I am getting very suggestive drawings of the Powerpuff Girls. I don't know why that's happening. I'm saying it's an upgrade over what I'm normally getting, which is very, very, very out there political ads, but yeah, this is still not. I still don't feel like I should be getting this.
You're saying these aren't targeted ads.
I don't feel like these ads are targeted because I would just say that most of the ads I'm getting probably don't align with my political leanings. Yet I'm being targeted with the other side of it.
Yeah, I think that might be the platform.
Could be the platform.
I had to take a guess.
Might be the owner of the platform.
Could be.
Might be. Who knows? But now I'm getting. I don't know why she's taking off her shirt, but she is because she's a member of the Powerpuff Girls. This is not. They're older. They're like literally. It says they're all grown up. I'm like, Can I just see like some Red Sox related ad? Like, do you not know who I am? This is very strange. Very, very strange. JP in North Providence, you would be the type of person who could answer that. JP?
Or maybe that was Jordan at Bill's birthday party. Who knows? But McCarthy, I'm all aboard carrying cash. I'll tell you a couple of reasons why. Sometimes you could be out at a restaurant, and they may not know Joe McCarthy. You know, who's Joe Murray, Joe McCarthy? You throw names, it doesn't work. You give them a 20. That valet will come back with the heat on in the car perfect. The windows are clean. Snow's off the car. Give it to the waiter before you start the meal. Your water's always there. The bread's fresh on the table. Always got to carry that little extra cash on you.
Got to take care of people.
You got to. And there's a sad day coming up, April 30th. They're auctioning off, all aboard, Edaville Railroad, some of the trains, some of the rides. Sad day in Carver. Yes, I know King Richards is moving in, but might get one of those trains for the backyard at my daughter and granddaughter's house. We got to see.
That would be sweet. Own your own train. I mean, come on, that'd be pretty cool, right? Those are the types of ads I should be getting targeted to me. It's like, here, buy a train. I would like to buy a train. That would be cool.
AmusementToday.com, Edaville Railroad, yes, is having a once-in-a-lifetime ride auction on Wednesday, April 30th, as JP just said. The list of iconic rides from Edaville that will be on sale, tons of them. Like we're like 20 plus maybe. I don't know any of these rides, but the Flying Turtles are on sale.
Okay.
The Crazy Bus, Willie the Whale, Fire Brigade, the Mini Jet, the Kitty Ferris Wheel, the Spinning Ladybug Coaster, the Clown Train, the Ferris Wheel, the Scrambler. Looks like
a Scrambler would be awesome to have. I love a good Scrambler. Who doesn't love a good Scrambler? And it'd be cool to have a Ferris wheel, like your own Ferris wheel. After that,
you can have a mini putt course in your yard.
A whole big Ferris wheel in the backyard. HOA would love that. They'd be fired up about that. It's a sad day coming up in Carver. It's the most Carver day of all time. So Edaville, it's been sold again, I guess. One of my many hometowns of Carver, Massachusetts. Winchester to Carver. Now there's a real dichotomy of two hometowns to have. But yes, Edaville, no longer going to be. King Richard's Fair, their lot sold. They're now moving into the Edaville lot. It's the most Carver story of all time.
Oh, that's where they're going? Is into Edaville? Oh,
into Edaville's lot.
That's incredible.
King Richard's Fair going into Edaville's lot.
Is Edaville that big?
Yeah, but they've got all the bogs around it. So I don't know. I'm having a hard time visualizing what that's going to look like. But yeah, I guess that lot that King Richard's Fair had been at for 40 years, Gone. Guess it's going to developments because for Scaz, people want to move to Carver now. Can't say I ever thought we were going to see that day, but it's happening. They got themselves a new elementary school. It's inside of 495. There you go. More affordable than other places. There you go. So King Richard's Fair out. Edaville out. King Richard's Fair in at Edaville. Really is the most Carver story you've ever heard of. Out in the bogs out there. What can I say? It's a big day. Big day coming up. Who would like to own a ride? That'd be pretty cool. What other legitimate, if you could buy one ride, what would it be? Well, it has to be practical, right? It's like you're not going to put a roller coaster in your backyard. And how many acres do you have? Like, it would have to be able to fit in a large backyard.
So, like, you're taking, like, arcade games out of it, like a ride like that.
Yeah.
What ride? What a question. I'd love to have, like a
merry-go-round? Like, what are we talking about?
Can I get, like, the log flume split? Can I get one of those?
That'd be great. The log ride?
Yeah.
The bamboo shoots from Storyland?
Yeah, give me one of those.
That'd be pretty cool. Hey, babe, you want to come by? I got a log ride in the backyard. Yeah, the log flumes. That'd be pretty solid. Just go up and down at like Cartman at
Oh yes.
Where does he go? It's a cafe. Well, he owns Cartman Land, right? But then he also what is it, Cafe Bonita or something?
Oh yes, yeah. Oh, that which is open nowadays. You can go there.
Oh, you can.
It is a real restaurant with the divers and everything. It's the guys from South Park created the restaurant in real life, and you can go there.
Of course they did.
Yes.
I got it figured out. Log flume would be cool. But again, like thinking about the I guess the footprint of a backyard. How are you really constructing your log flume ride? That would be my question. You got to wrap it around the house, right? It's got to go in the front yard.
Yeah, I might take on the water bill a little bit if you're keeping that thing, full.
Yeah, not practical. I mean, electricity is high though, so I mean, you got to think about that too. I mean, you need some electricity to move the water, right? I'm telling you, I feel like the Scrambler would be an elite backyard ride. Fast enough, small enough footprint, and the Scrambler. I'd go the Scrambler. What do you think a Scrambler goes for? What can you buy one for?
Or like, you ever seen like the Daredevil dive ones where you're kind of just you're almost like bungee jumping almost? I'd take one of those.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. What is a Scrambler? Let's see, $29,000 you can buy a Scrambler for.
The low price of $29,000.
I mean, it replace your HVAC system for more. You get the Scrambler in. Who needs heat in the winter? I should have put a Scrambler in my backyard instead of the new HVAC system, which I'm very happy with. 617-779-0985. Folks at 128 did a great install. All right, I said we'll get to the Tristan Casas thing. We will. We also have news from the beyond. We'll get to all of that coming right next. It's McCarthy in for Joe Murray.
Essential Sports Hub headlines.
baseball hour schedule. 11, midnight on game nights. Maybe even longer than that when the Celtics,
when those tip-offs aren't at 7 p.m., we'll be here till 1, I think, is what we did last year when they went to the finals. We were here till 1 o'clock post-game of the finals. I would imagine that is similar this year.
I'm keeping my schedule open for another overnight this year after a Celtics championship.
I think you should.
I think it would be wise of me. Just be prepared for that potential reality. Real quick, Skaz, we have not talked about the Celtics. Is there anything to talk about with the actual Orlando Magic series?
I think
outside of Jaylen Brown's knee.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown's knee is obviously number one story, but in terms of actual basketball, the Orlando Magic are very good at defending the three-pointer, something you've seen in the regular season against the Celtics. But the problem with the Magic is they're also the worst three-point shooting team in the league. They are a worse three-point shooting team than the Hornets and the Wizards. They were the worst three-point shooting team in the league this season. So it's really going to hinge on the Magic's three-point defense. I don't see a way they can beat the Celtics. I would say worries, if you're the Celtics, is the Magic foul a ton. They're a very physical team, a very chippy team. It's how they play. They're very long. So, watch out for Porzingis' ankles, watch out for Brown's knee, Tatum's ankles. Bodies are going to be flying, I think, in this series, maybe a little more than you're used to, even in the playoffs, just because of how the Magic play. But no, this should be, Celtics in 5 at most.
Put them away in 4.
Yeah.
Put them away in 4. Don't mess around. Those are the types of things in a series that should not be competitive from a talent standpoint. It's don't mess around. Don't extend this series. Don't have an Atlanta series from 2 years ago where you're sitting there in the Eastern Conference Finals saying, wow, this team's a little bit banged up. And they're not, and listen, they will be banged up because Brown is not going to be right throughout this whole thing. So, the question is, do you sit Jaylen Brown in what should be a physical series? My attitude is no, just win it in 4 and get your rest. That would be my approach. All right, so there you go. Celtics talk. I've been told, and real quick, I know we've been teasing this Tristan Casus thing. Ken Rosenthal, September. Red Sox suggesting that the Red Sox would sign Alex Bregman and move Rafael Devers to first. John Heyman, over the offseason, suggesting that Red Sox sign Bregman and Rafael Devers goes to first. What happened is that they signed Bregman, and they couldn't trade Tristan Casus. So, Devers is the DH. Well, Casus went 0-for-3 again tonight, and is now batting a .172 with a .509 OPS, and is hurting them in the field. Roman Anthony's crushing the ball at AAA. They might want to try to get him up here, but then you've got too many left-handed bats. Is Tristan Casus the odd man out? Will Rafael Devers start taking grounders at first base? Dave O'Brien suggested yesterday that he might. And I think he should. So there's that. There's been a lot of smoke around this, and now Dave O'Brien, for the first time this season, added some fire to that smoke. So there's the Tristan Casus reporting that we had been mentioning that we want to get to. Skaz, you've been on me all night about this. I have not heard this. Did Tim McCone have a bit of an incident on the midday program? Earlier this week, last week?
I think it was last week this took place. But yes, I know you were at a wedding, so you may have missed some things that happened. But yes, our good friend used to be a participant in the night show quite often.
Was he ever a participant? Some of the great Dong Report drops of all time.
I would say if I had to rank who had the best Dong Report drops of all time, Tim McCone for me is probably number 1.
Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Jr. Sr. remains the greatest Dong Report drop of all time.
Yes, McCone, he had a. Glasheen deserves a little shine for La Maquia Reality as well. That was a great one. But yes, McCone, the king of that. So we haven't gotten as many McCone drops lately. But yes, Tim McCone, a little mix-up last Wednesday, I believe. Would you like to guess the topic of conversation that got Tim McCone so fired up?
UConn basketball.
It was not UConn basketball.
I don't know. 90s movies.
Honestly, not too far off. Let me take a listen.
Middays at 10, Zolak and Bertrand.
You dump her or she dump you?
I've been dumped.
The one you have pictures
countless times. Yeah.
And McCone wears it as a badge of honor.
Well, Christy Brinkley, though.
Well, that's kind of the turn on.
70s still.
He's a gem. Can you play it for me again, please? Oh, my God. Oh, that's so good.
You dump her or she dump you?
I've been dumped.
The one you have pictures
countless times. Yeah.
And McCone wears it as a badge of honor.
Well, Christy Brinkley, though.
Well, that's kind of the turn on.
Like 70s still.
Yes! That's great. That's one of the best things ever. Thank you for mentioning that. That's one of the great F-bombs in the history of the station. And we've had good ones.
I'll play you the full unedited, off the air. He gets the full word out. There's no half word there. He got it out. Sometimes you just got to get an F-bomb out.
Tim McCone just whipping it out on Zolak and Bertrand from 10 to 2. Right there.
There's a promo.
Over Christy Brinkley. Still in her 70s and still throwing heat.
Looks good.
98 on the black, according to Tim McCone. Wow, with movement, 2-seam movement.
No one more excited for someone else to slip up than Scott Zolak.
That's an all-timer right there. I'm glad I'm glad we did that. Thank you. You're right. I feel like most of the host-related F-bombs, you catch yourself halfway through. I've only done it once in 12 years.
It was with me.
It was with you. And
the topic of discussion was the Oregon Ducks, I believe.
The Oregon Ducks. I got it half out and I stopped myself. Like the true professional I am. Unlike Tim McCone, who got it all out. Got it out of the system. Good for him.
That's kind of the turn on.
70s still.
Yes! Zoe, quick on the trigger there. Yes! That's great. That's such a McCone thing. Speaking of something that would be somebody's thing, food talk would be a Joe Murray. I like to generally stay away from food talk, especially in this time slot, because I feel like, I don't know, what's that? It really is Cam Newton coming in for Tom Brady. Let's be honest. Like me talking food in Joe Murray's time slot, it's disrespectful to Joe. We have this. Orioles Hall of Fame pitcher and broadcaster Jim Palmer says he's never eaten a single chicken wing in his entire life. Do you believe it?
I don't know Jim Palmer. I don't know his reputation, but no, I don't believe it. Of course, a professional baseball player has never had a chicken wing in his life.
I can believe it. Chicken wings are a very easy thing to avoid because I avoid them. Now, I've had them in my life. I've had them enough times to know I'm not really a fan, because chicken is the worst and is the most overrated food out there. So I believe very hard. I believe very much that you could say you've never had a chicken wing. If you know you don't like chicken, then this strikes to me as a man who does not like chicken. Then you would say, chicken wing, I'm good. Thank you. I'm out. Out on that. And speaking of chicken, the KFC toothpaste and toothbrush has sold out within 48 hours. Are you surprised by this, Gaz?
I wish I could say I was, but everyone's looking for weird products nowadays. I guess I'm not too shocked that the KFC Kentucky Fried Chicken flavored toothpaste sold out.
I'm surprised it took 48 hours to sell out. This is America we're talking about. You want your teeth to look like chicken and smell like chicken? That strikes me as the type of thing an American person would do. I can't believe it took that long, to be honest. How many of those things did they make? Tell you who's not buying them, Jim Palmer. Nor me. Colonel Sanders right on the front of this thing. It's the power button. Out. Out. News on the aliens. Legitimate news from the New York Times on the aliens. We must get to it. We will do it next.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
right, no Joe tonight. No Joe tomorrow, no Joe Friday, right?
Joe is back Tuesday night, I believe.
Coming back. Wow, he's taking like 5 days off for WrestleMania, huh? 4 days off. Good for Joe. Who do we have tomorrow night? Who do we have Friday? It's not
Mark Dondero, Thursday and Friday.
Mark Dondero, Thursday and Friday. There you go. Plan accordingly. I will be on with Fred and Hardy Friday morning. Plan accordingly. Looking forward to that, as always. I don't like getting up early. It's not my thing. I like those guys. I like them very much. I don't like getting up early. This is much more my speed. Talking aliens with you on the Joe Show. Because, folks, I think we found them. Headline, Reuters. Scientists find strongest evidence yet of life on an alien planet. In a potential landmark discovery, scientists using the James Webb Space Telescope have obtained what they call the strongest signs yet of possible life beyond our solar system, detecting an alien planet's atmosphere. In an alien planet's atmosphere, the chemical fingerprints of gases that on Earth are produced only by biological processes. The two gases, dimethyl sulfide, or DMS, and dimethyl disulfide. I probably just butchered all of that. I went to Ithaca College for television radio. Don't hold it against me. Or DMDS, involved in Webb's observations of the planet named K2-18, are generated on Earth by living organisms, primarily microbial life, such as marine photoplankton, algae. We found algae, baby! We found algae. This suggests the planet may be teeming with microbial life, the researchers said. They stressed, however, they are not announcing the discovery of actual living organisms, but rather a possible biosignature, an indicator of a biological process, and that the findings should be viewed cautiously with more observations needed. I am not viewing these observations cautiously. We have found the aliens. That is my approach. The aliens are out there. No doubt the aliens have found us. We may have finally found them. Now, what does finding them do? Not all that much. Other than just finding them. Now we got to get there. And once we can get there, maybe we can intimidate them. Because if they can get here and we can't get there, are we intimidating to them? Nope. Now we got to figure out how to get there. Didn't we just send Katy Perry up into space?
Space doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
We got to send Katy Perry to, what's this planet's name?
K2?
K2-18. We need to come up with a new name for this planet, by the way. I mean, if you think about it, most of our planet names are kind of badass. Named after Roman gods. Mercury, badass name. Mars, badass name. Uranus, need I go any further? Neptune. Pluto, who we then named a dog after. Then we stripped Pluto's planet status, which I'm still not over. Pluto is a planet. My very eager mother just served us 9 what? I ask you, what? Michael Brown, Pluto killer. What do they teach the kids now? I mean, you were in school, Skaz, when they well, wait a minute.
No, Pluto was a planet for me.
It was a planet?
It was.
My very eager mother just served us 9 pizzas. What is she serving us now? Then the space shuttle flew by Pluto, or that thing, and it had a heart on it. It was adorable. It's an adorable planet. Now they just think it's like some rock floating in space, and it's got Charon, its moon, just floating around. It's a dwarf planet. That's insulting. It's insulting to Pluto. But more importantly, K2-18? Come on. What are we going to name this thing? I say Ohtani, because he can hit it there. He hit a bomb tonight. Brady. Find something. But the aliens, Skaz, they're out there. Honestly, if you deny the existence of aliens at this point, you're just ignoring the facts. You're ignoring all the evidence that would suggest that they are out there. And I think they've been here, too. I mean, Blink-182 has it figured out. Aliens exist.
Tom was right.
He was right. What a show they put on. They made sure to play it. I saw they're playing New Hampshire. They're playing the place up on the lake. I might have to go to that. Assuming we're still here and the aliens haven't destroyed us, which they probably will at some point. I just want to make it very clear, Skaz, that I welcome our alien overlords, because they're definitely listening right now. They've got the radio waves, all that stuff. We're too in the process of sending 1920s music out into outer space. And we gotta up our game here a little bit. Let's do a little more research on this planet. Find out what the deal is with these aliens. Are they the ones who have been here? Got to get the nerds on it. Get the nerds away from baseball and away from sports and back into the James Webb Space Telescope where they belong. They will do their part to help our society. You get them away from sports and back into the Hubble or wherever. Get them back into the planetarium, which is still a badass place to go. Always the best school field trips. Planetarium. Cool. Enjoyed that very much. As I have this program tonight, James Scaramazino, as always, thank you for your hard work, your efforts, everything. Trent, our outstanding intern, well done tonight, as always. Mark Dondero on tomorrow night. Mark Dondero on Friday night. And I'll be on with Toucher and Hardy Friday morning. Who's on Monday, too? I don't think it's me. Is it me?
It is not you.
No,